In the cedar forest, Zeppelin kneels on one knee to present a ring to Rebecca. White gloves gently opened the blue velvet box. A diamond ring rests quietly inside. Zeppelin speaks, "Rebecca, will you become my most beautiful masterpiece?" Rebecca crosses her hands over her chest, her eyes filled with pure joy. "Yes. Even if I am reborn countless times, I would still choose to be your wife." Just like that, I accepted his proposal. Frames fill the wall. Among them is the portrait of Rebecca accepting the proposal. From that moment on, I became one of the artworks in Zeppelin's collection. Zeppelin stands behind Rebecca, putting a gorgeous necklace on her. "You are so beautiful. I knew this would suit you perfectly." He turns to choose. "I can't decide because everything looks so good on you. Let's try the next one. How about this one?" Rebecca speaks slowly. "Zeppelin." He turns around. "I was invited to a party. Can I go?" Zeppelin is puzzled. "A party?" Rebecca lowers her head. "Since we got married, I've barely seen any of my friends. I really want to see them again." Zeppelin coldly refuses. "No. Have you forgotten? You can only attend parties I approve of." Rebecca retorts, "But you only allow me to go when you are with me. And even when I attend, you don't let me talk to anyone." Zeppelin looks impatient. "Enough. Say no more." He turns to a maid nearby. "What are you doing? Hurry up and bring me the next one." Rebecca frowns helplessly. "After we got married, Zeppelin isolated me, making it impossible for me to meet anyone. He made me live like a mere doll, dressed up carefully only for his eyes. Then one day, a doctor sits by the bed. 'It seems you are pregnant.' Rebecca is stunned. Pregnant? At that moment, I realize that if this child is born, she would be put in his display cabinet just like me. I couldn't let my child live like a soulless doll." Rebecca runs under the moonlit night, fleeing from the distant manor. Her eyes are full of determination. "For the first time in my life, I worked with my own hands." Rebecca holds a mop, toiling in the light. "My once tender hands became rough. My once smooth face lost its luster. But I was happy." Rebecca strokes her rough hands, a long-lost smile on her face. "I felt free for the first time. I had a future I could build with my child." But tragedy always strikes at the peak of happiness. Night shrouds the manor. The moonlight is pale. Rebecca wakes up with a start in bed. A white-gloved hand lights a candle. It is Zeppelin's hand. Zeppelin reaches out to touch Rebecca's cheek. His voice is cold. "I know you're awake." Rebecca sits up abruptly. Zeppelin stands by the bed, looking at her with a smile. "You were so naive. Did you think I couldn't find you?" He leans down. "Our masterpiece is finally born." Rebecca shudders all over. She looks at the empty baby carriage nearby. She grabs Zeppelin's sleeve in panic. "Where's Psyche?" Zeppelin aggressively brushes her hand away. "Don't worry. How could I hurt my own flesh and blood? I just can't let my artwork be abandoned in a filthy place." His eyes are gloomy and cold. He pinches Rebecca's chin fiercely. "I didn't expect you to start withering so soon." Rebecca pushes his hand away. She rushes out of the room in a panic. "Psyche, where are you?" A figure appears on the stairs. A woman is holding the sleeping Psyche. She speaks slowly. "Lady Rebecca." Rebecca's pupils shrink. "Alicia," she questions in disbelief. "Why are you holding Psyche?" She walks forward barefoot. "So it was you? So you betrayed me after all. I trusted you so much." Alicia looks at her. "I had no choice." She turns away, holding Psyche. "Countess, please just obediently let yourself be made into a specimen." Rebecca reaches out. "Give Psyche back to me now." Zeppelin grabs her by the hair. Then he throws her viciously to the ground. "Obviously, you've gone mad, but it doesn't matter anymore. I've already found a replacement. I am leaving now. I have to attend a Duke's funeral." Rebecca stands up abruptly. "Don't go. Give Psyche back." Zeppelin pushes her away again. "Get out of my sight." Rebecca bites down hard on his hand. Blood splatters. Zeppelin cries out in pain. He clutches his hand. "How dare you? How dare you leave a mark on my body?" Rebecca wipes her mouth disdainfully. Zeppelin turns around. "Out of respect for the years we spent together, I originally intended to spare your life." "Rebecca, you brought this upon yourself." The door slams shut. Rebecca beats on the door with all her might. "Open the door right now." Zeppelin's voice comes from outside the door. "Rebecca, you are my best all. It is time to discard you. I have already taken everything I wanted from you." Flames shoot into the sky. The blazing fire devours everything. Rebecca kneels in the sea of fire. "I thought I had finally escaped, but until the very end, I still couldn't break free from Zeppelin's control." She collapses into the fire. Her consciousness gradually blurs. If only I could return to the past, return to before everything started, then I would absolutely never. She slowly opens her eyes. Alice's figure comes into view. She speaks urgently. "My lady, are you all right?" Rebecca sits up abruptly, looking blankly ahead. Alice supports her shoulders and asks with concern, "Your mood today seems exceptionally heavy." Rebecca looks confused. "Why is Alice here?" Alice continues, "How nice would it be if a heavy rain fell and washed everything away?" Rebecca recalls, but Alice was murdered by Zeppelin a long time ago. She looks at Alice's back. Could this be heaven? Alice says it might be painful, but as long as you get through today, everything will be fine. She slowly opens the main door. Light shines in. Rebecca ponders, what day is it today? She walks out, looking at the scene before her. This isn't heaven. It's hell. I have returned to the past I so desperately yearned for. On the day, everything was destroyed. Zeppelin waves with a smile. He stands side by side with Alicia. "This is the wedding of my husband and his second wife." A clear voice echoes throughout the venue. "Under the goddess's blessing, I pronounce you both as husband and wife." Zeppelin holds Alicia's hand. The two wave to the crowd. Zeppelin's gaze shifts. He notices Rebecca on the side. His eyes turn ice cold as he smiles. Rebecca is startled, seeing that expression on his face. I finally felt a sense of reality. Zeppelin stands behind her. "Rebecca, you are so beautiful. I knew this would suit you perfectly." He says expressionlessly, "You cannot go to the party. Did you forget you can only attend parties I allow?" Rebecca's hands tremble slightly. I really did return to the past. A flash of determination crosses her eyes, and a cold sneer curls at the corner of her lips. The first time I met Alicia, it was on the path of my daily walk. Rebecca holds a parasol, seeing Alicia lying unconscious among the flowers. Seeing her in such a miserable state, I couldn't just ignore her. So I brought her back to the manor and took care of her with all my heart. Alicia crosses her hands over her chest, her eyes full of gratitude. "Lady Rebecca, you are my savior." Rebecca looks at her. Her smile was so lovely. Anyone would fall for her, and I, too, fell for her. After marriage, I lost contact with my friends and felt deeply lonely. So I made her my personal maid. Alicia brushes Rebecca's hair. The two smile at each other. Thanks to gentle Alicia's service, I was no longer alone. However, that brief peace was shattered in less than a year. To celebrate Alicia's birthday, we shared a dinner. The fork slips from Alicia's hand. She covers her mouth, a wave of nausea surging up. "Lady Rebecca, I can't eat." Rebecca suddenly opens her eyes wide. She was pregnant. The woman I trusted and cherished was pregnant with my husband's child. She rushes to Zeppelin. "How could you touch Alicia?" Zeppelin chuckles disdainfully. "My naive wife." He turns his head. "A beautiful man and a beautiful woman. Did you really think nothing would happen? This is not my fault, nor is it Alicia's fault. It's your fault for entrusting such a pretty woman to my care." Rebecca clenches her fists. "So what are you going to do with her?" Zeppelin rests his chin on his hand, thinking, isn't the outcome great? He looks down at Rebecca. "You, and I haven't had a child in 10 years. Just like that, Alicia became Zeppelin's second wife. At the time, I thought everything was my fault, but now I know none of this was my fault." A carriage travels on the road. Rebecca clenches her fists. Tears silently fall. She gently caresses her belly. "My child, Psyche, before you were born, the memories of 10 months of pregnancy are still clear. Though that time was short, I vividly remember the happiness we once had. Those soft cheeks and little waving hands. And our final moments." She clenches her jaw. "This is for the best. My child will never have to live in Zeppelin's grasp like I did. I don't know why I returned to the past, but one thing is certain." Her gaze turns sharp. "This time, I will ensure a different ending." Zeppelin Devonhill, now is your turn to be destroyed. Two men step forward and brush past the carriage. The black-haired man turns around. He gazes at the carriage Rebecca is in. A cat's meow is heard. The man turns his head. A black cat walks over gracefully. The man calls, "Leo." The black cat, Leo, leaps nimbly onto his shoulder. "Are you interested in that woman?" The man's eyes flicker slightly. "No. It's just that I thought she was like a walking corpse, devoid of emotion. I never knew she could make an expression like that." Leo leans close to the man. "Wasn't that a provocative gaze?" The man looks confused. "What are you doing?" He pushes the black cat away. "Didn't I tell you not to read my mind so casually?" Leo chuckles softly. "I didn't want to hear it, but you were broadcasting it." The man crosses his arms. Zeppelin is incredibly possessive of her. "I'm curious why she returned alone." He looked at the red-haired man beside him. "Croya." Croy nods, "Yes." The man asks, "What exactly is Zeppelin doing in my territory?" Croya answers, "You must not have heard. He has already taken a second wife. I heard today's wedding is being held on the coast." The man is shocked. "You're only telling me now? What he did is disgusting. Holding a wedding for his concubine in my territory, and in the place I hold most dear, right? Throw those bastards out immediately. Make sure they never set foot in this territory again. The deadline is tomorrow. Understood?" Croya nods immediately, "Yes." Devonhill Manor. Rebecca's footsteps echo in the courtyard. She wears gorgeous clothes and looks around. What did I come back for this time? As the Countess, I have no right to manage this manor. I am nothing but a puppet, a perfect doll. Zeppelin smiles and says, you just need to bloom like a flower. I will handle all complex matters. Rebecca stares at the glass greenhouse ahead. This place is the Hall of Light, the place Zeppelin cherishes the most. The Devonhill family has long been known for its deep appreciation of art. They have collected countless artworks and even built a structure with temperature and humidity control just to preserve them. Zeppelin's love for art is obsessive. What if I destroy this place? What kind of expression would Zeppelin make? If I could do it, that would be great. But security is so tight. Destroying it is impossible. Rebecca clenches her fists. Right now, I have absolutely no power. If I had strong family backing behind me, I would have divorced him long ago, and I could have stopped Alicia from becoming his second wife. Alice hurries over. She holds a parasol for Rebecca. The sunshine is beautiful today. Be careful not to get sick. Rebecca turns her head. She reveals a smile. Thank you, Alice. Rebecca recalls. Alice was the only person in that suffocating Count's household who truly cared for me. First, it was after Alicia gave birth to her second child. Alice, to cheer me up, took me to the village festival. Thanks to her, I enjoyed a moment of happiness. But Zeppelin was cruel. How dare you sneak out? He holds a whip, his eyes icy. Rebecca grabs his arm, begging for mercy. Zeppelin, I beg you, it was my mistake. Alice falls into a pool of blood. She was beaten to death. Rebecca looks at Alice. This might sound strange, but do you have any wishes? If it's something I can do, I will make it come true for you. Alice blinks a wish. She smiles brightly. My wish is just to spend such peaceful days with you. Rebecca presses on. Don't be polite. Tell me, is it jewelry or taking a vacation? The parasol in Alice's hands falls. She tightly holds Rebecca's hands. I really don't need anything. I just want to stay by your side forever. Rebecca is startled. Being able to return to this moment when you're still alive is truly wonderful. She smiles. Let's go inside. Alice raises the parasol. Yes, my lady. Rebecca walks up the stairs, her footsteps heavy. The third floor is Zeppelin's bedroom and study. No one is allowed to enter there, including me. He likes to look down on everyone from the highest point, but his study is always locked. It must hide everything about the Devonhill family. Rebecca's gaze is firm. Perhaps I can find a trace of his weakness there. She steps forward, her footsteps echoing on the stairs. A man blocks the way. My lady, from here on, is a restricted area. Rebecca steps back twice. I know. She ponders. When did this guy appear? She helplessly returns to her room. Alice calls softly, my lady, do you want to go to the study? Rebecca turns her head. What? Alice says, you were staring at the third floor just now. Do you need my help? Just like going to the festival, we can sneak in. No one will find out. Rebecca's eyes sharpen. No. What if you get punished for this? Alice clasps her hands tightly. The Count won't be back for a week. He is still on his honeymoon. Now the guards are lax. It's our chance. The only one guarding the third floor right now is Hans. I'll lure him to the kitchen, and you take the opportunity to go to the study. She blinks mischievously. The Count isn't here. You're just bored and want to read, right? Leave it to me. Rebecca falls silent. Alice is right. Now is the chance. The door slowly opens, making a soft click. Rebecca holds a candle. Thanks to Alice, I successfully entered the study. I never set foot here in my past life. She places the candle on the desk. I must find something that can act as Zeppelin's weakness. She pulls open a drawer. A pile of documents is inside. She picks up the documents and flips through them. This is my family's name. These documents record how Zeppelin economically isolated my family. Rebecca's hand, holding the documents, trembles. My family might not have been a prominent one, but it couldn't have collapsed overnight. These documents even include sworn statements from my friends, declaring never to cross paths with me again in their lives. Zeppelin once said to me, your father asked me for money again. How long does he plan to rely on me? Well, since you were obedient, I can tolerate it. Your friends declined your calls. It seems they're finally tired of you. I told you that you're annoying sometimes, but you still have me, right? Rebecca falls to her knees. Everything he said was to bind me. Zeppelin, you bastard. A loud bang. The door is violently pushed open by Zeppelin. He grits his teeth. What is the meaning of this? Rebecca raises her head, her eyes filled with hatred. Rebecca grabs the documents on the floor and slowly stands up. She throws the documents at Zeppelin. What exactly did you do to me? Zeppelin furrows his brows. That's dangerous. What if the paper cuts your face? He picks up a document and looks at it. So, you saw this. It's no big deal. Let go of me. Rebecca freezes in place. What do you mean, no big deal? You ruined my family and threatened my friends. Zeppelin chuckles softly. I did all this for you. You should be grateful. Those friends were never people you should associate with. You ought to have friends who match your level. As for ruining your family, do you think I would treat you like that? I was helping your father. When he was in difficulty, I was the one who lent him money. Rebecca screams and steps back. The me in my past life would have been easily deceived by these words. But after reading the documents, I finally understood. The truth burned the illusion of a happy family portrait like a raging fire. How he destroyed my family. He hired a fraudster merchant to approach my father. My father's investment failed, causing heavy losses. At that time, Zeppelin appeared like a savior. He unconditionally lent money to my father. Eager to recoup his losses, my father fell into another trap set by Zeppelin. The debt snowballed higher and higher. The Obelia family could no longer escape this snare, tightly entangled like a venomous snake. Rebecca's blue eyes burn with rage. I can't say my father is completely without fault, but that man deliberately deceived us. Her lower lip turns white from being bitten by her teeth. Zeppelin's hand gently caresses Rebecca's cheek. I know you are rebelling because I took a second wife, but you'd better behave yourself, otherwise Alice will be killed. Rebecca's pupils abruptly contract. He already knows my weakness. Zeppelin looks at her. Now it is your turn to answer, my beloved wife. Rebecca clenches her fists, I understand. Zeppelin pulls her into his embrace, planting a kiss on her forehead. Good. His tone is contemptuous. This time, I will generously let you off. Perhaps the shock of the documents was too great. From the next day on, Rebecca fell ill. She opens her heavy eyelids. Alicia sits by the bed, her eyes sparkling with joy. You're awake. Rebecca speaks weakly. Alicia, had you been taking care of me all along? Why did you return to the manor too? Alicia clasps her hands over her chest, her eyes full of concern. Yes. Lady Rebecca, I was extremely worried about you. I thought you had suffered some terrible accident. Rebecca stares at her. Because of this warmth, I could never truly hate Alicia in my past life. I had absolutely no idea that behind that smile lurked a twisted and ugly desire. Precisely because of that gentle smile, the me in my past life fell into Alicia's traps time and time again. At first, it was jewelry and dresses. Then she eliminated all my allies. Finally, my husband. She took everything away from me. When I fled the Count's estate, if Alicia hadn't secretly opened the door, I wouldn't have been able to escape at all. So I once thought Alicia at least had a sliver of genuine care for me. But the truth was, she helped me only because she coveted the position of the first wife. Alicia lowers her eyelids. Lady Rebecca, you hate me, don't you? Rebecca sneers inwardly. Should I love you then? How could I not hate you? She forces a smile onto her face. Of course not. Why would I hate you? Alicia says, you've started using honorifics with me again. You didn't do this before. You hate me because I stole the Count, right? Her expression turns pitiful. Lady Rebecca, I was forced to as well. How could a powerless maid reject the Count? Rebecca's gaze sharpens. Enough. That's why I gave you another choice, didn't I? On the day I found out Alicia was pregnant, I told her to run away. I even offered to find her a house and give her enough money. Rebecca holds Alicia's hand. This was all for your own good. You've seen what he has done to me. He will do the same to you. Alicia pushes Rebecca's hand away. I'm sorry. I'm also an adult. Don't treat me like a child. I will decide what kind of life my child and I will live. Rebecca looks at her coldly. Have you forgotten? That was your decision. Alicia lowers her head. She is temporarily at a loss for words. Rebecca stands up. Let's end the conversation. Given the current situation, open hostility won't do us any good. Zeppelin wouldn't like it either. Alicia nods, yes. Rebecca muses fine. If you're still blinded by greed. She reveals a gentle smile. Thank you for taking care of me. I would like to give you a gift in return. She pushes over a red jewelry box. The jewels dazzle brilliantly in the light. She gestures for Alicia to pick from it. Pick one. Alicia's purple eyes widen in surprise. Is it really okay? She clasps her hands together and reaches for the jewelry. Oh my, they are so beautiful. Her fingertips touch a sapphire necklace. Rebecca suddenly speaks. Oh my, how did this end up in here? She picks up the necklace. Alicia's gaze is firmly drawn to it. Rebecca explains, this is a family heirloom Zeppelin gave me. It cannot be given away. Please pick another one. Alicia's eyes are locked on the necklace. A family heirloom? And can I receive one too? Rebecca's lips curl up. Only the Countess is qualified for that. As for whether his second wife can receive one, I wouldn't know. Know your place. Learn to crave what you cannot have. Zeppelin's voice comes from the doorway. Rebecca, are you with Alicia? He walks closer and examines Rebecca's face. Good thing there are no scars, but the skin looks a bit rough. How annoying. He lifts Rebecca's chin for the upcoming victory banquet. You need to take good care of your skin. Alicia's eyes light up. A victory banquet is a party, right? This will be my first time attending such a party. Then I will need a dress. What kind of dress would suit me? Zeppelin holds his forehead. You don't need to attend the banquet. Alicia is stunned. What? Zeppelin chuckles. This is hosted by His Majesty the Emperor. You cannot possibly attend. You're just a commoner. He grabs Alicia's shoulders. Don't make that expression. I'll give you some jewels you like. Just stay home quietly. Alicia speaks up. Then give me a family heirloom too. Zeppelin turns his head. What family heirloom? Rebecca picks up the sapphire necklace. I was only offering Alicia a piece of jewelry as a thank you gift for taking care of me. But she accidentally saw the family heirloom. Zeppelin frowns. Alicia, this is for the Countess. It means only the first wife can own it. Alicia screams loudly, why? I'm also a countess. We even held a wedding. Zeppelin grabs her hand. Let's go outside and talk. Rebecca suddenly speaks up. Wait a minute. I have a question. Why did you return from your honeymoon so early? She ponders this time. The two only spent a 1-week honeymoon. Completely different from my past life. Alicia shakes off Zeppelin's hand. Because our arrogant Duke sold the villa to the Duke just for a few paintings. Zeppelin looks at her. What kind of insolent tone is that? Get out immediately. Rebecca stands alone in the room. Duke Johannes? She smiles faintly. Duke Johannes. In an imperial banquet. The first opportunity for revenge has finally arrived. Footsteps echo in the opulent room. Rebecca, dressed in a blue gown, walks past Zeppelin, who is sitting on the sofa. Zeppelin smiles. Rebecca, you are truly beautiful. Rebecca responds with a smile. Thank you. Zeppelin stands up. Seeing you like this reminds me of my 17th birthday party. Time flashes back to the winter 11 years ago. Snowflakes fall outside the ancient mansion. Young Zeppelin walks out the front door. He stands on the balcony, looking down at the empty courtyard. So boring. Suddenly, his gaze sharpens. In the snow-covered garden, several noble ladies are whispering to each other. Young Rebecca tilts her face up and chuckles softly. Zeppelin's gaze is captivated by her. Rebecca notices Zeppelin's gaze. She looks upward. Zeppelin's eyes flicker. Rebecca beams a bright smile at him. That day, in Zeppelin's monotonous life, something appeared. He clenches his fist. If I could marry that woman, what beautiful children we would have. My life changed. For the first time, I had a goal. Beauty is the meaning of life. Therefore, beautiful Rebecca is the perfect doll to build my kingdom. She was smarter and more stubborn than I imagined. But now, she only looks up to me and relies on me. My 10 years of careful isolation have not been in vain. Now, I have brought in young and beautiful Alicia. You must continue to show yourself to her, allowing your beauty to mature even more. As long as it is for me, for Devon Hill, and for that child. He extends his hand. Perfect Rebecca, come. Let us enter the palace. When you give birth to a child that looks like me, my perfect kingdom will be complete. Johannes Duchi. Johannes furrows his brows. Don't you have any more useful stories? Kroya stands at the desk. Recently, storytellers who caught the sin of money have flocked here, just filtering out these strange people. Takes days. Anyway, you must change clothes immediately. The guest of honor cannot be absent from the victory banquet. Johannes rests his chin on one hand. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have gone to war. Kroya says, who was the one who insisted on going? Complaining about being bored to death? Johannes retorts, it was just a war in name. They surrendered the moment I drew my sword. The emperor clearly arranged everything long ago. It was strange from the beginning. Rebellious forces couldn't possibly exist in this era. Kroya spreads his hands. So what? Please attend at least this once. If you continue to test His Majesty's patience, you will be in trouble. Johannes strokes the black cat. What kind of trouble? His eyes turn cold. As long as that damn god still protects our family, even the emperor can't touch us. The Johannes ducal family is blessed by the goddess Deferia. The goddess's blessing is said to protect the family, but it is actually a curse. Long ago, an ancestor of the Johannes family received an oracle from the goddess. He allied with the rebel army, serving as the vanguard in the civil war. Under the goddess's protection, the new emperor won a sweeping victory. He granted Johannes the title of duke, honoring his greatest contribution. Everything was credited to the goddess's protection. The temples of goddess Deferia sprang up everywhere. Cats, once seen as ominous, also became the symbol of the goddess. But perhaps this is the price of enjoying endless wealth and honor. Johannes's descendants gradually forgot their reverence for the goddess and even committed acts of debauchery in her temple. Enraged, the goddess cast down a curse instead of a blessing. You must pay the price for the blessings you enjoyed so cheaply. Your children shall serve my children and be seen as one with them. From then on, the souls of the children of the Johannes family were bound to the cats sent by the goddess, forced to share their pain and emotions. This curse even took the children's lives. The cats sent by the goddess survive solely on the heir's divine power. When their divine power is exhausted, all the heirs die early. In order to continue the bloodline, the ducal family married off their children at a very young age to constantly produce heirs. If the first wives gave birth quickly, they would soon take second wives. Julian was no exception. His father grabs his shoulders. You were born with the strongest divine power of any heir in history, so you must sire more heirs. Even if some die, we can continue to protect the goddess's sacred beasts. Julian struggles. Are you asking me to drag more women into this curse? I refuse to do such a thing. His father continues to persuade. You may feel this way now, but you will soon understand. You cannot escape this curse. Julian's eyes are resolute. He recalls his mother's warning. You must absolutely never fall in love. In a graveyard under the night sky, his father leads a young woman over. Greet him. She's your new mother. Julian stares into the distance, his eyes firm. How absurd. I refuse to surrender to this predestined fate. But if I cannot produce an heir, then Lily's child will inherit this surname. He clenches his fists. There must be a way. This curse must end with my generation. The banquet hall is resplendent. Guests gather in small groups. Rebecca holds Zeppelin's arm. She looks around. Has that person not arrived yet? Her gaze fixes Duke Johannes. Julian walks into the hall. The red-haired emperor turns to Julian. Duke Johannes, thank you for your hard work in this war. Julian bows slightly. Thank you, your majesty. The emperor reaches out, introducing a red-haired woman to Julian. I suppose this is your first time meeting her. Julian glares at the emperor. Old fox. Your intentions couldn't be more obvious. For years, the power of the Rotandus Empire and the church have been deeply intertwined and difficult to rectify. Most nobles belong to the Pope's faction, and the public's faith is fully directed towards the church. Policies of the State Council remain mere drafts until reviewed by the cardinals or the Pope. But unlike his predecessor, the current emperor is dedicated to strengthening imperial power. I can see through his scheme. He wants to use the God-blessed Duke Johannes. That is me, Julian Johannes. Despite societal rumors, the emperor still plans to marry her to me. The emperor leads the princess by the hand and walks over. How about it? Would you like to share the first dance with the beautiful princess? Julian takes the princess's hand. Your Highness, may I have the honor of this dance? The emperor smiles in satisfaction in the background. The two dance on the dance floor. Julian ponders. I cannot drag an innocent woman into this, letting her suffer like my mother. Rebecca glances at Zeppelin. He immediately reaches out and strokes her cheek, forcing her to turn her head. Look at me, Rebecca. Rebecca closes her eyes. Her mouth forces an upward curve, yes. She complains inwardly. So disgusting. Zeppelin orders, stay here. Don't move. Rebecca stands alone in the corner. At least it gave me a chance. Zeppelin, holding a wine glass, chats merrily with two nobles. Rebecca says in a low voice, I didn't see that group of cats today. Julian is stunned behind her. He turns his head. Who would have thought someone had followed me all the way here? Rebecca continues speaking. The cat bound to your soul is named Leo. The others are just a smokescreen. Julian's eyes widen in shock. Nonsense. Rebecca warns, don't expose that you're talking to me. People are watching. Julian's eyes sharpen. Who are you? Rebecca smiles slightly. I'll be direct. I know how to break your curse. Julian's pupil's contract. How dare you speak such nonsense to the blessed ducal family? Rebecca continues speaking. I know everything. If that cat dies, you die too. You're currently gathering fairy tale writers to find a way to break the curse. Julian coldly snorts. Who sent you? The Emperor or Laclanes? Rebecca says, then how about this? The notorious Playboy Duke has actually never touched a woman. Julian's pupils shrink. Cold sweat drips down. You even know this? Rebecca continues. You use endless scandals to cover up the truth, but in fact, you have remained chaste. This time, the opportunity you've always wanted, you won't let it slip away again, will you? Julian lowers his voice. What do you want? Rebecca proposes her condition. If you dance with me, I will tell you. Julian looks confused. What? Rebecca walks forward. You must invite me to dance in front of everyone, right before the Emperor. Julian looks astonished. Your name? Rebecca walks away. My name is Rebecca. She turns her head. I'll be waiting. Zeppelin holds Rebecca's hand. Sorry to keep you waiting so long. His gaze sweeps over Julian. He mutters contemptuously, what insolence. How dare he look at another man's wife like that? Julian sets down his wine glass. Apologies. Your presence is so weak, I didn't even notice you. Zeppelin grinds his teeth. Julian Johannes is a bastard. I really hate his arrogant, defiant attitude. I admit that guy does have a good eye, but Rebecca will be mine. A person like him has absolutely no right to possess her. He wraps his arm around Rebecca's waist. Now, I will take my wife away. Julian stops in his tracks, gazing at them coldly. The noble women whisper among themselves. Rebecca is practically imprisoned in that mansion. What's the point? Another noblewoman chimes in. Of course. She is, after all, the #1 beauty of the empire. If it were me, I would hide her away too, not letting anyone see her. Julian steps forward directly, walking towards Rebecca. The Emperor and the red-haired princess watch quietly. Zeppelin stops and glares back at Julian. Do you have anything else to say? Julian's gaze passes over Zeppelin and lands on Rebecca. The one I am looking for is her. He holds out his hand. May I have the honor of dancing a song with you? Rebecca is slightly taken aback. I had never met him in my past life, so I didn't know. Even when I suddenly proposed a deal, he still acted so composed. He is definitely no ordinary man. Zeppelin grabs Rebecca's shoulder. Reject him, Rebecca. He's not worth your time. The Emperor walks over, laughing heartily. He grips his scepter, his eyes cold. Count Devonhill, holding onto your wife so tightly doesn't look good. Zeppelin looks flustered. Your Majesty, this man is extremely insolent. The Emperor replies calmly. I don't see how he is being insolent. Haven't you already danced the first waltz with her? I heard your wife has never danced with another man even once. No matter, let them dance. The Emperor narrows his eyes. The great Duke Johannes coveting another man's wife. If used properly, this could become his weakness. The guests whisper among themselves. Speaking of which, after the first dance, that lady always stays alone. She never talks to anyone. She wasn't like this before her marriage. The Count must be controlling her too strictly. Zeppelin coldly watches everything. He reluctantly agrees. Very well, but only one dance. Julian's lips curl up. How interesting. I wasn't asking the Count. I was asking this lady. Rebecca glances back at Zeppelin. Zeppelin's face is gloomy. Rebecca gently places her hand in Julian's. Julian bows his head slightly. It is my honor. The two glide into the dance floor. Julian looks down at her. So, can you tell me now? What is this deal you mentioned? Rebecca raises her eyes. I want to file for divorce. Her gaze is firm. Therefore, marry me. A flash of surprise crosses Julian's eyes. What does that mean? Rebecca explains, soon the temple will pressure you, demanding that you take a bride. Julian raises an eyebrow. Where did you hear that from? Rebecca turns her head, revealing a confident smile. The source of the information isn't important. That has nothing to do with our contract. I'm not asking you to fall in love with me. Simply put, that I want us to be husband and wife in name only. Julian looks down at her, a playful smirk curving his lips. Is that really all you want? He holds Rebecca's waist and lifts her up. Rebecca answers, I only need one thing. Give me the power to destroy the Devonhill family. In return, I will save you. A flicker of doubt flashes in Julian's eyes. How can I trust you? Rebecca interrupts him. You will. If you want to save your sister from the curse, you must believe me. Julian ponders. She even knows about my sister. Looking at her eyes, she doesn't seem to be lying. Who exactly is she? Rebecca curtsies. I don't expect an answer right this moment. But once you make a decision, send Leo to the room in the Count's manor. It's in the east wing on the 2nd floor. I will place a yellow flower by the window. She looks up. I will await your reply. Zeppelin abruptly grabs Rebecca's hand. Come with me. He roughly shoves Rebecca into the carriage. You're going home right now. Rebecca sits inside the carriage. She lowers her eyes. Understood. Zeppelin's face twists in anger. What exactly do you understand? Are you happy flirting in another man's arms? He slams the carriage door shut. Depart. Stay obediently at home. You will pay for tonight's humiliation. The carriage drives away. Zeppelin remains standing in the night. A figure slowly approaches. Zeppelin turns around. He speaks coldly. To think you would covet what belongs to someone else. Julian retorts calmly. She is not an object. How can she be your possession? Zeppelin is furious. He clenches his fists tightly. You insolent brat. Julian smirks disdainfully. What? Do you want me to treat you like an elder? I suppose your age is the only thing you can show off. Well then, allow me to address you properly, Uncle Count. Zeppelin's anger surges. You brat. He grinds his teeth. Two black cats bare their teeth, letting out threatening hisses, as if sensing their master's anger. Julian gently soothes them. Calm down, children. He is a bad man, but causing a scene here will only work against us. Zeppelin looks panicked. He hurriedly leaves. Don't even think about getting close to Rebecca again. She's my wife, my property. He sneezes continuously. Damn cat hair. Croya quickly steps forward. Duke, why are you here? Julian says softly, it seems I'm getting married. Croya smiles. Is that so? Congratulations. His words come to an abrupt halt. His eyes widen in shock, and sweat trickles down his forehead. What? Julian turns his head, revealing a cunning smile. The problem is the bride is already married. On a rainy night, the carriage drives over the slippery cobblestone road. The grand manor stands in the rain, brightly lit. Rebecca leans against the window, quietly watching the rain beat against the glass. Alice approaches, noticing Rebecca's silence. Rebecca speaks, "You're unusually quiet today. Aren't you curious why I left the banquet early?" Alice steps closer, looking concerned. "My lady, why did you return so early? Did something happen?" A cold sneer forms on Rebecca's lips. "I danced the first dance designated by His Majesty." Alice clasps her hands together, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "How was it? Were you thrilled? I heard the Duke is a wonderful person. I really wish I could have been there." A knock suddenly sounds at the door. Zeppelin's voice rings out. "Rebecca!" He violently pushes the door open. Rebecca silently kneels on the floor. Zeppelin looks at her. "It seems you already know that you were wrong." A maid behind him helps him put on his gloves. But this doesn't make up for anything. He picks up a whip. "Do you know how much humiliation I endured?" He swings his hand fiercely, striking Alice's back. Blood instantly seeps from Alice's back. Rebecca grabs the hem of Zeppelin's clothes. "I was wrong. I will never look at anyone else again." Her voice trembles. "It's my fault. Please stop." Zeppelin halts his movements. "You should have acted like this from the start." He turns his head, a twisted smile hanging on his face. "You are too beautiful. That's why people have wicked thoughts about you." He crouches down and strokes Rebecca's cheek. "If that kind of man comes near you again, just reject him directly. Understand? Today, you've been tainted. It seems I will have to go to Alicia's room." He turns around and leaves, ordering the servants, "Wash that maid and Rebecca clean." Rebecca hurries forward. She holds Alice's shoulder. "Does it hurt?" Alice looks up, a smile on her face. "As long as you are safe, my lady. I don't care." Rebecca hugs her tightly. "But why were you smiling when that man hit you?" She recalls the moment she was hit. A creepy smile had surfaced on Alice's face. Rebecca chokes Alice's neck. "I'm asking you why you were smiling. Answer me." Thinking back, it was so strange that I never suspected Alice. The day Zeppelin barged in out of nowhere, I started doubting her. Zeppelin rushed straight to the study without a moment of hesitation. What could make such a cautious man act so recklessly? The only change that happened in the manor was my action, and the only person who knew about it was Alice. My judgment was blinded by the incident where she sacrificed her life for me. What exactly is her purpose? Alice struggles to breathe. "My lady, I can't breathe." Rebecca lets go of her hands. "Leave." Alice looks at her. "What are you saying?" Rebecca stands up. "You have already lost my trust. Therefore, you know very well what Zeppelin will do to you. I'm giving you one last chance. Tomorrow morning, I will have Zeppelin fire you. So run away now." Alice clenches her fists. "I was found out. What a naive and stupid woman. Do you not even have the courage to take revenge on a traitor?" Alice stands up. "Are you not even going to ask me why?" Rebecca looks her straight in the eye. "Knowing won't change the facts. Just run away." Alice lowers her head. "You're always like this." She abruptly looks up. "You have everything, yet you don't know how to enjoy it. Do you think anyone would choose to be born to poor parents? I heard your family was also quite insignificant. You should be grateful that the Count took you in." Rebecca stares at her in disbelief. "Knowing everything I've been through, you still say that. Watch your words. I could kill you right now." Alice's smile twists. She points a finger at Rebecca. "Kill me then. You can't kill me, because you will always be that naive, kind-hearted countess. Stop being a hypocrite." A maid raises a wooden basin high and smashes it fiercely onto Alice's head. Alice crashes to the floor. Rebecca stumbles backwards. The maid slowly speaks. "Lady Rebecca, your bathwater is ready." The maid with the high ponytail grabs Alice by the hair. "I will dispose of this pest." Rebecca stands alone in the room. She suddenly collapses to the floor. "I gave you a chance until the very end. It's all over." That maid must be Zeppelin's person. She clenches her fists. "I don't know what will happen to Alice. To think I'm still worrying about her." Tears streak down Rebecca's cheeks. Now everything is over. There is no one on my side here anymore. An unknown amount of time passes. That maid who announced the bathwater was ready. Dot never returned. A bright moon hangs in the night sky. All is silent. Rebecca stands up, running her hand across the tabletop. "Rebecca, you will become indestructible. You will become as hard as stone, enough to shatter rocks." Her gaze is icy. I have nothing left now. Therefore, I can do anything. Outside the manor, the high ponytail maid drags Alice along. She violently throws Alice onto the ground. Alice wakes up and finds herself in a strange place. Who are you? Where's Lady Rebecca? She recognizes her surroundings. She kneels on the ground. I'm sorry. Please don't take me to the basement. I'll give you whatever you want. I beg of you. Zeppelin's voice comes from the doorway. So noisy. Make her shut up. A swift chop hits the back of Alice's neck. She crashes to the ground. Zeppelin taps his chin with his fingertips. Kania, you're more useful than I thought. Keep up the good work, and you'll get whatever you want. But you also know the consequences of crossing the line, right? Kania lowers her head submissively. Yes. Zeppelin reveals a faint smile. This time, Octavio, I've found a good dog. Very well. From tomorrow onwards, you will be Rebecca's maid. Her heart, her behavior, her looks, her words. You will report everything to me. Kania lowers her head again. Yes, I understand. Zeppelin waves his hand. Take her away. Men in black nearby drag the unconscious Alice and leave following Zeppelin. Kania stands alone in the empty hall. Her eyes are gloomy, not saying a word. Dawn breaks. Rebecca sits up from her bed. She looks at the woman standing in front of it. Who are you? Kania bows slightly. I am Kania. From today onwards, I am responsible for serving you. Rebecca recognizes her as the maid from last night. Did he find a replacement for Alice so quickly? She scrutinizes Kania. Among my maids in my past life, thought there was no one named Kania. Has the future changed? Kania picks up a comb and brushes Rebecca's long hair. Her movements are impeccable. Alice was clumsy, but this woman is the exact opposite. Rebecca thinks to herself, she is too skilled. I wonder how Alice is doing. I wonder if Kania told Zeppelin that I saw through Alice's identity. Kania speaks as she combs her hair. The Count does not yet know the details of last night. Therefore, Countess. Rebecca abruptly grabs Kania's wrist. What does this mean? She questions, did Zeppelin send you to test me? What a waste of time. Kania's expression remains calm. My lady, you seem very uneasy. She kneels on the floor and hands a handkerchief to Rebecca. This is something I value as my life. Now it belongs to you. Rebecca takes the handkerchief. Her fingertips tremble. Could this be? Kania's gaze is firm. Yes, this is the proof that you saved my life, Lady Rebecca. It was once a warm spring, yet to me, it was colder than ever before. Calix dragged my hand, walking briskly on the cobblestone road. He whispered urgently, be quiet and follow me. He planned to sell me to a brothel to pay off his gambling debts. A stone building with a wine glass sign stood before us. A middle-aged woman with brown hair in an updo looked me up and down. She smacked her lips, too skinny. Calix smiled obsequiously. Her dead mother who bore her was beautiful. Give me a good price. The middle-aged woman curled her lips impatiently. This is all the money you get. Calix tightened his grip on my wrist. What did you say? I looked around, feeling that once I stepped through that door, that I would never be able to leave. I will absolutely not step in there. I broke free from Calix's hand and sprinted wildly on the cobblestone road. Calix roared behind me. Hey, stop right there. I didn't look back, running forward with all my might. A carriage galloped toward me. The coachman shouted in terror, get out of the way. The sound of hooves drew closer and closer. I was so terrified I fell to the ground. A gentle voice rang out. Are you all right? I looked up. Rebecca leaned over, her golden hair falling down. A pair of eyes looked at me tenderly. I stared at her blankly, as if I had seen an angel. Calix's furious roar echoed down the street. Where is that brat? My body trembled. I looked toward the source of the voice in terror. Rebecca picked me up. I hastily cried out, Madam, please don't. Your dress. Rebecca smiled. It's all right. It's just a piece of clothing. She looked at the coachman. Take her to the Liberta Charity House. The carriage slowly drove away, leaving the noisy street behind. Rebecca looked at me inside the carriage. Do you know the person who was yelling just now? I lowered my head, my hands nervously twisting my hem. Rebecca's gaze fell on my hands. She took out a handkerchief from her handbag, although this is a gift for someone else. She gently took my hand and bandaged it with a handkerchief. Thought this can be used for emergencies, right? I looked at her. Tears welled up in my eyes. This was the first time in my life I felt warmth. Rebecca looked at me tenderly. The place we're going to now is called the Liberta Charity House. They're all good people there. As for that person yelling just now, I promise he will never come near you again. Holding her hand, what a warm touch. After entering the charity house, I never saw Rebecca again. But I never forgot that warmth. In order to see her again, I have endured until now. Tears uncontrollably slide down. I have finally seen Rebecca again. Even if she has forgotten me, it doesn't matter. As long as you can be happy, I am willing to do anything. Rebecca recalls. I remember now. She had held the handkerchief and looked at Zeppelin. Zeppelin, I made this and wanted to give it to you. Zeppelin had taken the handkerchief. He sneered disdainfully. How ugly. What kind of trash is this? He let go, and the handkerchief fluttered to the ground. Rebecca looked straight at Kania. So you're the girl who received the handkerchief. Kania says, I don't expect you to trust me immediately, but I hope you can use me. Her gaze is determined. If you order me to kill Zeppelin, I will do it. If you ask me to break a spy's leg, I will do that too. I want to stay by your side. A hint of hesitation flashes in Rebecca's eyes. Is it really okay? Will she really become my ally? This child has the same eyes as me, eyes that hate the world, yet she is purer than me. She suddenly stands up. You belong to Zeppelin now. Kenia explains, I am indeed here on the Count's orders, but only to stay by your side. Even if I die, I won't become that kind of person. Rebecca interrupts her. You must become Zeppelin's person. Kenia looks at her in confusion. What? Rebecca turns her head. If you want to help me, go and gain Zeppelin's trust. Her eyes sharpen. Become my eyes and ears. If necessary, even become my hands and feet. But before that, you have to prove you are my ally. Bring me a lock of Zeppelin's hair. If it's cut badly, that's even better. Kania answers without hesitation, I will do it. Leave it to me. A faint smile appears on Rebecca's lips. Good. Do not betray me. A black cat paws at the window, trying to slip into the room. Rebecca turns her head. Kania, you may leave now. The window opens. The black cat leaps in. Rebecca looks at him. You're Leo, right? Leo elegantly stretches his body on the wooden floor. Rebecca's lips curve up slightly. She opens a wooden box and takes out a roll of letter paper. Written on the letter is, let's meet and talk first. Julian Johannes. Rebecca looks at the letter paper, revealing a delighted smile. Julian reads the letter. He leans back on the sofa, a playful smile on his lips, commanding me to come over and calling me by my full name. What an interesting woman. He sets down the letter. Good work, Leo. Leo looks up and meows, as if complaining. Then he turns his head away. Julian looks at him. I only made you run an errand, and you're throwing a tantrum like this? I couldn't entrust such an important matter to any other cat. Leo licks his paw. And that woman, she looks so much like that child from back then. Julian freezes. A voice pierces through the darkness. Are you all right? Julian shakes his head. That's impossible. That was the Forbidden Forest. Moreover, that woman has never left the capital since she was born. Leo says, I'm just speaking my mind. She doesn't look like a sad person. Julian says, even so, it is a kind of belief. But are you really all right? If what that woman said is true, the curse might be broken. What about you then? Leo shakes his head. It doesn't matter. This life of mine was abandoned once long ago. Julian looks at him. You always say that. Leo impatiently jumps down from the sofa and turns to leave. Since we're done talking, I'm leaving. I am hungry. Julian holds his head. Honestly, I completely don't understand what that little guy is thinking. That woman too. He remembers Rebecca's words. I want a divorce. Therefore, please marry me. Julian's lips curl up. Although that proposal is absurd, it is indeed appealing. The temple keeps contacting me. They will soon pressure me to produce an heir. From the temple's perspective, it doesn't matter if Rebecca is divorced. Their faith is quite liberal regarding marriage. For 10 years, Rebecca still hasn't had a child. Zeppelin took a concubine. This is a tremendous disrespect to the first wife. Furthermore, that idea of punishing his own wife is truly absurd. But the target of that punishment was the person she cares about most right in front of her. She must have had enough of it. I'm certain she has had a hard life. When I held her up back then, she was very light. She must have been starving all along. If she becomes the Duchess, a painful roar pierces the sky, echoing above the castle. Two attendants hear the sound and rush into the hallway. Count, what happened? Zeppelin grips the mirror tightly. His cheeks flush, anger surging to his head. My hair. The two attendants watch this scene in terror, their faces turning red. Zeppelin points at the door. Who is it? Which bastard did this to me? Bring all the bastards who were on duty last night over here. Rebecca sits up from her bed. She notices the red box on the bedside table. She opens it. You said you could do anything. It seems to be true. She places the box under the bed. Kania's figure appears at the doorway. She steps forward. You're awake. Rebecca looks at her. You did very well. Kania bows slightly. It was simple. Rebecca nods. It seems you have fully proven your qualifications. I'm going out today. Help me prepare my clothes. Kania respectfully asks, what kind of clothes should I prepare? A gleam flashes in Rebecca's eyes. The most magnificent one. At the dining table, Rebecca, Zeppelin, and Alicia sit facing each other in silence. During the meal, Zeppelin's face is gloomy as he cuts the food on his plate. Alicia gestures to the maid for another bowl. Zeppelin sets down his knife and fork, his eyes full of contempt. Stop eating. You've gotten fat lately. Alicia places her hand on her chest. Don't you know pregnant women need to eat their fill? Zeppelin says coldly, coming from commoner origins, you probably wouldn't know. Nobles don't wolf down their food like this even when pregnant. Alicia's face turns pale. My lord, learn from Rebecca. See how elegant she is. Rebecca picks up a napkin, elegantly wiping the corners of her mouth. Don't be so agitated. Since Alicia is carrying her first child, it's better to let her eat more. I'm already very guilty that we couldn't have a child. At the very least, I want Alicia's child. That's to grow up healthy. Zeppelin smiles. He turns to the maid, give her half a plate more. Alicia's cheeks flush red. She mutters to herself, why? I'm also the countess. But yet only I get scolded. She violently pushes the plate away. I'm not eating anymore. Zeppelin roars, Alicia. Rebecca takes his arm. They say pregnancy makes women sensitive. Since your hair is already like this, why not just cut it short? Zeppelin is stunned. Cut my hair off. Rebecca reveals a smile. Yes, I've been thinking about it for a while. Short hair would suit you very well, and it will make you look sharper. Zeppelin hesitates slightly. If you insist so much. His eyes turn cold. I'll cut it right now. Rebecca holds Zeppelin's arm. I'd like to go out today. Is that okay? Zeppelin's gaze turns icy. Where to? Rebecca's smile is gentle. To the charity house. I used to go there often. I've neglected it recently. Zeppelin's gaze sweeps over her dress. Is this why you're wearing such a frumpy outfit? Rebecca says, is it? Do you not like it? I thought there was no need to dress up to go to a place like that. The corners of Zeppelin's mouth curl into a slight curve. Better to play poor than attract the wrong crowd. Very well, go ahead. Rebecca smiles. Thank you. Alicia glares from the side. When she's this well-behaved, she must be plotting something. Julian lies on the bed, flipping through a heavy book. I said dress a bit simpler. A plain robe without decorations is enough. Croya picks up a magnificent dark coat. But we must consider the Duke's dignity. Besides, since when did you become so obedient? Giving in to that woman's threats so easily. Julian doesn't even look up. Watch your words. She will become the Duchess. Croya is choked by these words. Julian stands up. He walks to the mirror and tidies his hair. Croya is shocked. Is that woman really that beautiful? Julian reveals a playful smile. Don't tell me you're jealous, but I already belong to someone. Besides, our age gap is quite significant. Croya's face instantly turns red. What are you talking about? I'm just a loyal attendant worrying day and night for my naive Duke. That woman is highly suspicious. She must be hiding something. Julian crosses his arms. This is not a bad arrangement. In order to break the curse, that I am willing to do anything. I'm not saying I completely trust that woman, but she might be able to help me achieve my goal. Frankly speaking, I'm tired of all this. Croya's thoughts drift back to the past. From the first time I met the Duke, he never acted like a child. Even at his mother's funeral, he didn't shed a single tear. But in my eyes, he was just a child who had lost his family and couldn't even cry. I wanted to protect him. He ponders. How could a complete stranger know something I've never discovered? How can I trust her? He suddenly shouts, I will go with you. Julian looks puzzled. Why? Croya looks determined. I must act as the Duke's right-hand man. Julian frowns. Are you saying you're sharper than I am? You're particularly annoying today. Croya puts on his cloak. You know it yourself. You always act before you think. That's why I must go. I worry about you. At the Liberta Charity House, Rebecca walks through the courtyard. Kania follows behind her. Rebecca slowly speaks. Has everyone been well? The director runs over from afar. Thanks to Lady Rebecca's blessing, we have been very well. He leans in and whispers beside Rebecca. Lady Rebecca, your guest has arrived. He is waiting for you. Rebecca's gaze sharpens. She turns and looks in another direction. A person is hiding behind the bushes. Rebecca thinks to herself, Zeppelin's hound followed me, as expected. His name is Robert. He has been tailing me for months. Rebecca clears her throat twice. Kania glances sideways from behind her. Kania steps forward to converse with Robert. Rebecca looks at the backs of the two. He's tailing way too casually to dare leave his post. What exactly is he thinking? Rebecca walks into a magnificent room. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Her expression instantly turns grave, her heart sinking heavily. Croya, the Liberta Charity House, my only sanctuary before my rebirth. Perhaps that is why, in my past life, I chose to take refuge here when I fled. I met Croya. He was in rags, and no one believed his words. At that time, Julian was bedridden, tormented by the curse. Croya wandered everywhere in search of a cure. Almost driven mad. Coughing up blood, he said, I will break the curse. He told me the method to break the Duke family's curse. At that time, I was fleeing from Zeppelin, so I couldn't pass that truth to the Duke's family. And now, I will use this truth for the rest of my life. Please forgive me. This is the only way I can survive. Julian looks at them with a scrutinizing gaze. Do you two know each other? Croya is startled. He waves his hands frantically. I swear to heavens, this is my first time seeing her today. Rebecca smiles and explains, it's a misunderstanding. Let's discuss the core issue. She slides a document across the table. Regarding our marriage contract, the terms of the contract are revealed one by one. Julian must assist Rebecca in her divorce and provide minimum investment for the plan to destroy Count Zeppelin's territory. Both parties may freely pursue other romantic relationships, provided they remain discreet. This contract remains valid until Zeppelin's death. After the Duke fulfills all terms, Rebecca must break the Johannes family's curse. Julian sits up straight. I have a question. Rebecca speaks. Please go ahead. Julian holds the contract, his gaze sharp. Divorce should be the end of it. Why do you want to destroy the Count's territory? And why do you want to kill Zeppelin? Rebecca's eyes dart away. She clenches her hands tightly on her lap. Consider it a personal grudge. When the time is right, I will tell you. Julian rests his chin on one hand, examining her. She doesn't seem to have any other motives. Rebecca adds, I assure you, no harm will come to you. Please consider it an investment. Julian asks, are you asking me to do nothing? Rebecca nods. You won't need to dirty your hands. You only need to provide the title of Duchess, protection, and financial support. Whatever you lend me, I will pay back double. Julian says, there's one thing I would like to revise. Rebecca is taken aback. What is it? Julian points to a clause. Article 3 bothers me. We will eventually be husband and wife. If you want to see someone else, you should at least get my consent first. Rebecca turns her face away. I only added that clause considering this is Julian's first marriage. Is he worrying about me? This man is much warmer than the rumors say. She lowers her head. You don't need to worry about me. If it makes you uncomfortable, we can revise that clause. The quill pen crosses out the clause of free romance on the parchment. Julian looks at her. All right, we'll revise it like this. Even though it's a contract marriage, I have no intention of finding a new lover during this period. I refuse to repeat my father's terrible behavior. Rebecca pushes the revised contract over. Here is the revised version. Julian smiles faintly. You won't betray me, will you? Rebecca places her hand on her chest. Of course not. I will honor this contract with my life. Julian stands up, crossing his arms. So what is your next step? Zeppelin Devonhill is no simple opponent. He is the third most powerful man in the Empire. Rebecca takes a small sip of tea. Of course I know. Do you know what the cornerstones supporting his territory are? Julian raises an eyebrow. Where are they? Rebecca looks at him. The world knows there are 4 main cornerstones to the Count's territory. First are the employees who manage the manor. Second are the vassals who control the territory's main industries. Third are the retainers who provide intelligence for the Count. And lastly, the Knight Order that protects the territory. The core figures of these cornerstones are called hounds. They are not driven by loyalty. The Count holds their fatal weaknesses, leaving them with no way to escape. So they absolutely obey, because they fear the Count. Julian's eyes narrow. So, the key is to deal with these hounds. What do you plan to do? Tamed hounds won't betray their master easily. A smile curls on Rebecca's lips. You overlooked one point. As I mentioned before, the ones supporting the Count's territory are humans. They are not literal hounds. They're humans just like us. I'm going to undo the collars Zeppelin has fastened on them and shatter the cages of their weaknesses. Julian looks at her with keen interest. Interesting. Then how can I assist you? Rebecca leans forward. First, I plan to establish a small merchant guild. It would be even better if we can get a capable person to serve as the guild master. Julian answers, that's not difficult, but it seems you even have trouble going out. How will you run a merchant guild? Rebecca says, I have another plan for that. Julian sits back on the sofa. In other words, I only need to provide the funds. He crosses his legs. I have more money than I can spend. Take as much as you need. Rebecca responds, thank you very much. Then could I request one more thing? Julian says without hesitation, anything. Rebecca's gaze sharpens. Have you heard of the Devil's Claw? A plant called Devil's Claw. It is highly poisonous and inedible. A slight touch of its leaves will cause a rash. But people discovered it can be used as a dye, producing an unprecedented mysterious purple color. From then on, its price has been dictated by the sellers. Julian says, so, you want me to procure Devil's Claw for business? That's impossible, unless you grow it yourself. Rebecca answers, you only need to provide a greenhouse and a laboratory. As long as we have seeds, I know someone who can cultivate it. Julian's eyes turn inquiring. You can't be using it to make dresses, right? What is its true purpose? Rebecca smiles faintly. Because I want to marry you sooner. Duke, in my past life, Devil's Claw was known as a panacea. A botanist discovered its other property. Eating the leaves raw triggers blisters and high fever, but it can eliminate all toxins from the body and even cure other chronic diseases. Rumor has it that it can restore youth. That is exactly Zeppelin's next obsession, but it's different this time. Zeppelin still doesn't know the true value of the devil's claw. In pursuit of ultimate beauty, Zeppelin once spent his entire fortune to buy the raw leaves and force me to eat them. He loved me for only one reason, my beauty. Once this beauty disappears, he'll have no reason to keep me around. Julian stares at her in silence. How can she speak of these things so calmly? Rebecca spreads her hands. You don't need to look at me with those eyes. Who doesn't live with a thorn in their side? Julian whispers, truly, the more we talk, the more I want to know about her. He smiles and speaks. Very well. We are partners now. He holds out his hand. Let's work hard together, Rebecca. Rebecca grasps his hand. I'm also looking forward to cooperating with you. Dusk shrouds the Count's manor. A carriage drives into the courtyard. Zeppelin is standing at the door. You are later than I expected. He strokes his hair. What do you think? I cut my hair off according to your suggestion. Rebecca steps closer. What is there to ask? You are always so perfect. Zeppelin grabbed a strand of her hair. While you were away, I was thinking that ever since Alicia arrived, I've been neglecting you. Today we can have some time alone. Zeppelin leaned in close to Rebecca's ear. Understood? Rebecca, take off those shabby clothes. Dress up nicely and come into the room. Rebecca, change your clothes. How do I look? Perfect. The maid's eyes were full of admiration. Unbelievably beautiful. Rebecca sighed softly, a trace of exhaustion hidden in her smile. The servant noticed her unusual demeanor. Rebecca shook her head. It's nothing. She took a deep breath, turned, and left. She stood alone in front of the stairs. It's going to be okay. Rebecca. She clenched her fists. This isn't the first time. Alicia stood at the top of the stairs. Are you going to the Count's room? Her eyes glimmered. You are truly beautiful. Rebecca looked calm. Is that so? Thank you for the compliment. The two faced off on the stairs. The air froze. In Alicia's eyes, the flames of provocation ignited. That is only temporary. Don't forget, I'm much younger than you, Madam Rebecca. Soon, I will take all of the Count's attention. Rebecca's blue eyes were icy cold. Is that so? She walked past Alicia. But did you know? The corners of her mouth curled up, carrying a cruel smile. You will never be the first wife. If I conceive a child today, your child will always be second, just like you. Alicia's pupils shrank, her lips trembling with anger. She clutched her dress tightly. You will regret saying such things. She let out a scream. Madam Rebecca, no. The scream caught everyone's attention. A twisted smile appeared on Alicia's face. She took a step back and fell down the stairs. Rebecca smiled slightly. She lunged forward, hugged Alicia, and spun around. She shielded Alicia beneath her, crashing to the ground. She stroked Alicia's head. You should be careful. The child in your belly is your only asset. The maids rushed over in a panic. Madam, Rebecca covered her head. Sitting up slowly, Zeppelin walked down the stairs. What's going on here? What happened? His eyes widened suddenly. Rebecca. He pushed Alicia aside and touched Rebecca's cheek. What happened to your face? He glared at the crowd. If there is even a single scratch on Rebecca's face, all of you are dead. Rebecca softly pleaded it wasn't Alicia's fault, so please forgive her. She then fainted in Zeppelin's arms. Kenya ran forward. Count, please take Madam back to her room. Call a doctor quickly. Zeppelin's eyes were filled with panic. Yes, call a doctor quickly. Kenya picked up Rebecca and hurried back to the room. Alicia's voice trembled. Count. Zeppelin's eyes were as cold as blades. How dare you be so insolent? Alicia's face instantly turned pale. It was an accident. She tightly grabbed the clothes on her chest, her body trembling with fear. Zeppelin raised his hand and waved. Take her away. Send her to the Temple of Light. Blue sky and white clouds. Lush green trees. Kenya bandaged Rebecca. Is it really necessary for you to go this far? Rebecca smiled slightly. Compared to what I'm going to get, this is a very cheap price. Although I am injured, it also allows me to avoid Zeppelin for 2 months. The memories of my past life helped me a lot this time. In that life, Alicia also fell down the stairs like this, but I was completely blinded and falsely accused her of pushing me. I didn't expect her to do the same thing in this life. Rebecca asked how Alicia was doing. Kenya bowed and answered, the Count is very angry. He has placed her under heavy surveillance. Thanks to that, only Robert's people are left here now. Rebecca revealed a smile. Excellent. What about the guests I invited? Kenya held a tray, yes. I have already sent the message. They said they will arrive today. Rebecca pressed on. Did Zeppelin say anything? Kenya replied. He said it's a good thing and told me to invite them over often. He's worried you might suffer psychological trauma from this incident. Rebecca pondered. He doesn't seem like the type to worry about my mental state. A noise came from the door. A woman in a gorgeous red dress walked in. She looked panicked. Rebecca, what on earth is going on? Rebecca looked up. Mother, you're here. Her mother said, I heard that girl named Alicia pushed you. Rebecca shook her head. It was an accident. I saved her. Her mother held her forehead. You are too kind. You only end up hurting yourself. What should I do? I'm so worried. Rebecca forced a smile. You are so worried, yet you've never come to see me even once. She clutched her skirt. I know I am powerless, but that doesn't mean I don't know. That night, I saw the documents recording a massive sum of money given as a condition for my marriage to Zeppelin. Also, my mother gave me advice on my wedding day. Rebecca, never get pregnant with the Count's child. Once you have a child, you will be bound. Even if you get pregnant, don't invest too much emotion into it. Her mother looked at her. Rebecca, from the first time I met Zeppelin, I had a bad feeling. Zeppelin picked up a teacup, his reflection showing. He looked composed. I will marry Rebecca. Initially, the social status of our two families was not equal. I thought such a marriage would be unhappy, so I refused. Soon after, our family was pushed to the brink of bankruptcy. It was then that Zeppelin showed up at our door with a large sum of money. He tapped the document lightly with his finger. It doesn't matter if there are no heirs. Are you still going to oppose this marriage this time? This time, I couldn't refuse. I told myself everything would be fine. My irresponsibility pushed my child into such a situation. She held Rebecca's hand. I won't make any excuses. Let's run away. Living in a faraway place is better than this. Rebecca looked at her mother. Can you really abandon everything you have up to now? You might be able to, but what about father and my younger brothers? Can you force our family to sacrifice themselves for me? She covered her face and cried bitterly. Croyef stood aside holding a towel. He sighed helplessly. Her mother suddenly turned around. Since when have you been there? Croya bowed and replied, Don't worry. I won't say a word to anyone. Rebecca spoke calmly. Running away won't solve anything. I must build a solid foundation and then leave on my own terms. Mother, let's escape together. Escape from the Devon Hill family. This terrible shadow. Her mother was in disbelief. How are you going to do that? Rebecca's eyes were resolute. I'm going to get a divorce. Her mother gasped, Divorce? Rebecca continued, Yes, and I'm going to remarry. I will marry Duke, Julian Johannes. Her mother looked confused. What are you talking about? Rebecca placed a hand on her chest. Right now, only you can know about this. Father must never find out. Her mother looked at her daughter's face. She knew that whenever she made that expression, she would definitely accomplish whatever she set her mind to. She spoke, All right, what do you need me to do? Rebecca revealed a slight smile. She gave a thumbs up. Mother, are you interested in starting a business? Late at night, Rebecca sat on the bed, looking out the window. Croya walked over. Are you bored? Rebecca smiled slightly, a little. Lying in bed makes me feel suffocated. Croya suggested, Would you like to go for a walk? Rebecca said, But I can't walk. Besides, Zeppelin won't let me out. Croya picked her up. The hounds don't usually patrol at this time. I've already confirmed there's no one else around. Where would you like to go? Rebecca answered, Let's go to the lilac garden. She recalled her conversation with her mother today. Why didn't you ask any questions? Croya answered, Because I believe in you, Madam Rebecca. No matter what choice you make, even if it leads to hell, I will follow you. He carried Rebecca deep into the garden. Placing her on a bench, Let's rest here for a while. His gaze flickered. Someone is here, Madam Rebecca. A cloaked man walked over. Good evening, madam. Croya stood aside. What brings you here? Rebecca said, You were eavesdropping, weren't you? Robert replied, The moonlight is too beautiful tonight. I came out for a stroll. Rebecca chuckled softly, still working this late. What a loyal servant. Robert explained, I was just taking a walk in the courtyard. It's not work, just taking a brief rest. Rebecca looked straight at him. I'm not a fool. I know very well that all the servants in this mansion are spying on me. Robert's gaze turned sharp. Rebecca's tone remained calm. Don't be so surprised. I have no intention of blaming you. You're just doing your duty. She smiled. Since we're all here, why not enjoy the moon together? I've always wanted to talk to you. Do you dislike your surname? Robert hesitated. It's not like that. Rebecca's expression was complex. The bond of blood. It's truly cruel. Forced to become the hound to save the family, yet loathing this surname. Robert's eyes grew heavy. What do you know? Rebecca's gaze was calm. I don't know much. I just know that you come from the prestigious Cardigo family. I also know that your family is under Zeppelin's control. And one last thing. I will save you. In her past life, Robert was killed by Zeppelin just because of a misunderstanding that he loved her. At Robert's funeral, his family came. On their foreheads, they all had the mark of the owl's eye. That was the proof that their whole family were followers of the Cardigo faith. The scar on Robert's forehead must have been to cover up that tattoo. As a child, she had heard her father talk about the history of the Cardigo faith suppression. In this empire ruled by the Deferia faith, they could no longer show their owl tattoos, because the owl's eye had long become a symbol of misfortune. Robert scoffed, Save me? Just you? Kenya glared at Robert. Where are you looking? Take your dirty eyes off her, or I'll gouge them out. Rebecca smiled at her. It's fine. I might not look very reliable right now. Can you give me a pen and paper? The pen tip scratched across the paper, making a rustling sound. Rebecca handed over the slip of paper here. Robert looked confused. What is this? Rebecca's gaze followed him. This is what you've been looking for. Clues to find your family. If you are willing, I will give you the power to protect them. Robert sneered. You want me to believe you? The Count's threats are enough. Stop your clumsy imitation of him. Rebecca reached out, holding it, and Robert took the slip of paper. What if I betray you? Why give me the information first? Rebecca's eyes were firm. Do you trust me? I trust you. You're a follower of the Cardigo faith. I know that Cardigo believers never lie and they never betray. Robert pointed to the scar on his forehead. My lady, you shouldn't trust others so easily. See this scar? This is the proof that I tore off the tattoo with my own hands when I was 15. I left the family right in front of my father. I no longer believe in Cardigo. Rebecca gently shook her head. It's not just because of your upbringing. I know you've been secretly helping me. Even if you betray me, I don't care. Just consider this information a repayment for your kindness. Robert stood frozen in place, his expression solemn. Do you really not care? Can you really fight against Count Devonhill, the man who committed such atrocities against you? Rebecca's body trembled with anger. Revenge. Completely destroy him. Flames ignited in her eyes. I will return the pain we suffered to him, doubled. She extended her hand, inviting Robert to join. Robert looked at the hand reaching out to him, his eyes wavering. I've been trapped in endless darkness for too long. He went down on one knee. He solemnly held Rebecca's hand. On that bandaged hand, he left a reverent kiss. He looked up, his eyes determined. I, Robert Crowley, swear my allegiance to you. What should I do first? Rebecca answered, find the files on the hounds. A gleam of light flashed in Robert's eyes. Leave it to me. The next day, at the Devonhill Manor, bathing in the sunlight, Rebecca flipped through a stack of documents. Robert, this is truly amazing, to be able to find such detailed files on the hounds. But the information I want most isn't here. Head maid Grace Duncan. She has been here since the time of the previous Count Devonhill. She belongs to the Devonhill family. She is not Zeppelin's person. She knows more family secrets than Zeppelin. She holds the keys to all the rooms. Therefore, she is the target we must conquer first. Rebecca's gaze darkened, but Grace is loyal only to the Count's family. She is different from the other hounds. Zeppelin has nothing to use as leverage against her. She has also lost all her family long ago, yet she remains loyal to Devonhill. Rebecca's eyes were resolute. For my revenge, I must win Grace Duncan's support. Rebecca's gaze was calm. This matter won't end easily. She won't yield so quickly. She handed the documents to Kenya. I have memorized these files. Dispose of them. Kenya took the documents. Yes, Madam Rebecca. Rebecca shifted her gaze. By the way, where is Zeppelin? Kenya bowed and answered, the Count attended the council this morning. Rebecca's mouth curled into a smile. Excellent. Then he won't be back until late afternoon. She set her bare feet on the floor, the bandages on her ankles clearly visible. Step 1. She slowly stood up, a white dress accentuating her figure. Let's go out for a walk first. Grace was scolding 2 male servants in the courtyard. Why aren't you working properly? She crossed her arms. Neither of you has any pride in your work. Her gaze turned sharp. Mania was walking along the stone path. Grace pondered. The male servants' quarters are right behind a mansion, but they aren't the type to cause trouble. It should be fine. Her gaze casually swept across the wall of the mansion. A window caught her eye. Behind the window, Rebecca's blonde hair flashed by. A dog hole hidden by bushes appeared at the corner of the courtyard wall. Robert's breathing was steady. Here is the exit. He handed over a bundle. This is what you asked for. Rebecca took the bundle. Thank you. She smiled in satisfaction. You found me something good. She changed into a set of men's clothing and wore a brown hat. How do I look? Does it fit? It's much more comfortable than a dress. Robert frowned. Those clothes. He regained his composure and reminded her, the Count might stay out very late, but there are always exceptions. Rebecca nodded. Got it. Please take good care of Kenya. Robert said, everyone thinks you are bettered due to illness. No one will get suspicious. I will wait for you here on time, but plans might change. Rebecca walked to the dog hole. She looked back, yes. Thank you. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting mottled shadows. A carriage traveled along the forest path. Rebecca sat in the carriage. It's been a long time since I felt this kind of freedom. She looked at the distant mansion. I thought I would never escape Devonhill. But now that I am out, the world feels so small. The carriage stopped. The coachman's voice sounded, Miss, we've arrived. Rebecca jumped off the carriage. She turned to the coachman. Thank you for the ride. May I ask your name? Sir? The coachman smiled and introduced himself. My name is Adolf. I run a coffee bean shop in the town square. Come over for a cup of coffee when you have time. Rebecca smiled in response. Okay, thank you for your kindness. The carriage started again, gradually fading into the distance. Rebecca turned around, her gaze landing on a door. A sign hung on the door, "Do not disturb." Below the sign was a line of small text. Trespassers will face the consequences. A hidden botanical laboratory. Gustav's Botanical Laboratory. A man named Gustav McQueen, a botanist who discovered the properties of the devil's claw, a hermit dedicated to his research. Zeppelin had tried every possible way to recruit him, but failed because he couldn't find his weakness. Rebecca walked up and knocked on the door. "Mr. Gustav." She increased her strength and pounded on the door. "Mr. Gustav." The door swung open. A white-haired man frowned deeply. "Didn't you see the sign? Do not disturb. Get lost." Rebecca covered her nose and mouth with her hand. A smell of smoke. The white-haired man leaned against the doorframe, a cigar in his mouth. He looked Rebecca up and down. "You're a lapdog sent by the Count, aren't you?" Rebecca cleared her throat. "Hello, Mr. Gustav. I brought a proposal. Gustav Skofedistein fully. I will not be used for the benefit of nobles. They promise research funding first, but end up stealing everything. I know these tricks." He turned around abruptly, leaving a resolute back figure. "Leave immediately now." The door slammed shut. Rebecca sighed. "It seems you don't want the gift I brought either. Fresh spring potatoes, just dug out from Montpellier today." The door suddenly opened, and Gustav poked his head out. He licked his lips, his gaze sharp. Coming quickly. Sunlight illuminated the interior of the botanical laboratory. Lush green plants were everywhere. Gustav opened the bundle and carefully examined the potatoes inside. "You actually managed to find real potatoes. That's amazing. Recent potato varieties have been modified too much and have lost their original flavor." Rebecca looked around. A few books were piled on the desk. World Encyclopedia of Dyes, Devil's Claw. She looked at the book titles. "It seems I came at exactly the right time." Gustav sat on the sofa. He scrutinized Rebecca. "So what is your proposal?" Rebecca picked up a red-covered book. "You must be very interested in the Devil's Claw." Gustav's eyes lit up. "You figured that out from these books? Do you study plants yourself?" Rebecca picked up a potted plant. "I wouldn't say I have no interest. It's just that seeing such a rare plant unattended makes my heart ache." She pointed to the leaves. "Look here, these spots. Could the temperature be wrong?" Gustav crossed his arms. "So you've changed your strategy now? Sending an expert to make me reconsider?" Rebecca put down the potted plant. "Sorry to disappoint you. I have absolutely nothing to do with the Count you mentioned." Gustav asked, "Then which noble are you?" Rebecca looked straight at him. "Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not at all." Gustav frowned. "What kind of answer is that?" Rebecca smiled slightly. "Does it matter? Shouldn't you be more concerned about what I can offer?" Gustav's tone was dismissive. "Many people have made promises to me, but no one has been able to provide what I want." Rebecca laid out her terms. "I will build a large greenhouse for you first." "What if I said I will build it for you in Montpellier? Is it still the same as everyone else?" Gustav's pupils slightly contracted. "In Montpellier?" Rebecca interlaced her fingers. She smiled and gazed at him. "So, are you more interested in talking now?" Monfils, a famous port city in the Johannes Duchy, the center of global logistics. Goods circulate rapidly. A fertile land uniquely blessed by nature. For the botanist Gustav, it is a dreamland. But the land prices are equally exorbitant, far beyond what an ordinary researcher can afford. Rebecca said, "I don't care what research you do. Whatever you like." Gustav looked up. "Doing all this for me. What is the condition?" Rebecca cleared her throat. "My throat is a bit dry. Could you give me a cup of tea first?" Gustav turned to leave. "Oh, my apologies. I was so flustered I forgot my manners. Please wait a moment." Rebecca's gaze focused on an open book. She flipped a page, her eyes intent. The page read, "Place the dried devil's claw into poison water. The water will boil violently and then be purified. If one ingests this plant." Rebecca pondered. "So you discovered the efficacy of the devil's claw back then. But that problem doesn't seem to be solved yet." Gustav brought a cup of tea. "Here, drink this. It's chilled herbal tea." The fire in the fireplace flickered. Rebecca picked up the teacup. "Thank you. You need experimental subjects, right?" Gustav spat out a mouthful of tea. He frantically wiped the corners of his mouth. "How did you know?" Rebecca's expression was calm. "You didn't realize I read your notes. Please forgive my rudeness. I only read the part that was open. Your theory is very interesting. My employer will be extremely interested." She put down the teacup. "You asked for the condition, right? It's very simple. Research the devil's claw for my employer. We will provide the experimental subjects, as well as the seeds of the devil's claw." Gustav firmly replied, "Il refuse." Rebecca leaned forward. "Reason?" Gustav rested his chin on one hand, his gaze contemptuous. If my research succeeds, wouldn't some high and mighty noble take all the credit? I've seen countless colleagues abandoned just like that. Rebecca said, no need to worry. My employer holds a prominent status and has zero interest in such trivial honor. Gustav suddenly stood up. Trivial honor? Do you know how much of a sensation this research will cause once it's published? Rebecca smiled slightly. After all, it's a panacea. Of course, it will cause quite a stir. It's truly remarkable that you were able to discover this. A gleam of light flashed in Gustav's eyes. You actually recognize the true value of my theory. The academic community just treats me like a madman, pointing fingers at me behind my back. He sat back in his chair. But you said you'd provide experimental subjects. Your employer isn't involved in any illegal business, right? I aim for the top. I can't be involved in any illegal activities. Rebecca took a golden crest from her pocket and gently placed it on the table. I wonder if this serves as an answer. Gustav's hands trembled slightly. This is the crest of Duke Johannes. He leaned forward excitedly. Where do I sign? A magnificent white manor stood tall. A lady with her blonde hair, pinned up, looked around. It's even grander than the rumors. Is Rebecca really going to marry Duke Johannes? Julian opened the door. Welcome, Madame Obelia. He bowed slightly. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Julian Johannes. I have already heard the general outline from Rebecca. I heard you are starting a new business. Madame Obelia held her teacup. Yes, but I don't know if I can do it well. Julian smiled slightly. You're certainly capable of it. After all, you've been leading the Obelia family. You are Rebecca's mother, which means you're my mother. Please, make yourself at home. Madame Obelia's cheeks flushed slightly. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Julian's gaze turned sharp. Time returns to earlier. Julian asked Rebecca, why are you so obsessed with starting a business? If you have debts, I can help you pay them off. Rebecca sat upright. Paying off debts is only a temporary fix. My father might reach out for money again. I want to pass the position of the family head to my mother. To do that, she needs financial power. My mother protected the Obelia family on a tight budget. If it weren't for her, the family would have fallen into ruin long ago. First, I need to get my family out from under Zeppelin Devonhill's control. Julian looked at Madame Obelia. By the way, could you tell me the details of this business? Rebecca said, I should hear the explanation directly from you. Madame Obelia explained, I will explain this. It's a salon rental business. She tapped a document lightly with her finger. As everyone knows, the noble ladies of the empire hold salons in their own homes. Julian nodded. Exactly. That's also a place for faction gatherings. Madame Obelia continued. But the burden that comes with it is also great. They have to decorate their homes according to each season's trends. Moreover, their servants might tell their husbands what they hear, so they cannot comfortably converse in private. Therefore, what we will do is salon space rental. We will decorate an entire room or garden according to the client's taste and then rent it out. Clients can host salons at an affordable price, and private conversations won't reach their husband's ears. Julian rested his chin on his hand. But wouldn't doing that prove they are incapable of decorating it themselves? Nobles despise anything ready-made. Would they really like it? Madame Obelia asserted, they will. Julian asked, why are you so certain? Madame Obelia placed her hand on her chest. Because that is exactly what I desire to have. Not all nobles have an abundance of time and money. We also plan to create private salons for special guests. Julian revealed an approving smile. Just as Rebecca said, you are fully qualified for the position of family head. Madame Obelia stood up, preparing to leave. Then we will proceed as planned. I'll take my leave first. She stopped in her tracks. By the way, what do you like about our Rebecca? Julian was slightly taken aback. What I like about her? Rebecca's figure flashed through his mind. Because she's cool. Madame Obelia felt slightly puzzled. Julian smiled slightly. Yes, of all the women I've met, Rebecca's eyes are the coolest. Dusk fell over Count Eleanor's manor. Rebecca asked, where is Zeppelin Devonhill? Robert looked worried. The Count hasn't returned yet. Please stop doing such reckless things. He handed a strand of brown hair to Rebecca. Rebecca took it. I have no choice. He is too important to be entrusted to anyone else. Robert urged. Anyway, please hurry up and change your clothes and go back. It's almost time for dinner. Rebecca looked at the bouquet in Robert's hand. What are you going to do with those flowers? Robert said, insurance, just in case. Eat this first. The two walked on the stairs. Rebecca looked around. Fortunately, everyone is preparing dinner. At this rate, everything will end peacefully. Grace suddenly appeared behind them. Grace stood at a distance, her gaze sharp. Robert, who is that child? Cania's body stiffened, cold sweat sliding down. Robert smiled. I was just about to deliver tea to Madam. Grace remained silent. Cania's hands, holding the tea tray, trembled slightly. Grace finally spoke. I see. We can't. Keep Madam waiting. She added, by the way, tell Madam that Lady Fabiola We'll visit today. A woman wearing a hat sneered, Rebecca, you truly have no manners. Cania's pupils shrank, and she trembled all over. Fabiola Devonhill, a wife adored by her husband, a loving mother to her son, and also a terrifying mother-in-law who ruthlessly tormented me, jealous that I took away her son's attention. Fabiola looked panicked. Oh, the cake fell on the floor. I baked this myself. What a waste. What are you doing? Hurry up and lick it clean. Rebecca recalled the past torments. But in this mansion, secrets have nowhere to hide. When Zeppelin learned of Fabiola's atrocities, he sent her away. But Fabiola did not give up, often showing up uninvited like today. Zeppelin walked in smiling. Does it feel comfortable? This wheelchair is the only custom-made one in the Empire. Don't you love taking walks? The doctor also said that staying in bed all the time is bad for your health. Rebecca turned her head, her gaze landing on the chains of the wheelchair. A heavy iron chain firmly locked the wheelchair. Her range of movement was restricted only to the perimeter of the garden. A servant came to report. Madame Fabiola has arrived. Zeppelin pushed the wheelchair. Rebecca, let's go inside. Leave that woman to Alicia. Rebecca said, it's fine. Since I received such a nice gift, I must fulfill my duty as a wife. Cania pushed her inside. Beside them, Fabiola was drinking tea with Alicia. Fabiola poured the tea out. The tea is cold. Can you pour another cup? Alicia poured tea into the cup. Yes, mother. Fabiola picked up the teacup. This time it's too hot. Alicia suddenly stood up. Is that so? She slapped the maid across the face. Fabiola roared, what are you doing? Alicia was expressionless. You kept saying the water was too hot, and then said the tea didn't suit your taste. In that case, isn't it the fault of the person serving the tea? Fabiola glared at Alicia, as expected of someone of low birth, acting so lowly. Alicia chuckled softly, yes. Then, mother, how noble is your bloodline? So noble that your precious son isn't even willing to come see you once? Rebecca pondered. She hasn't changed a bit. Fabiola thought to herself, she is trying to crush me so that I cannot persuade my son to abandon her. She yelled, how can you lack class to such an extent? Alicia turned her head away. Rebecca stepped in. Mother, when did you arrive? Fabiola stepped forward. Oh my, Rebecca, you are really injured. Rebecca shook her head. I'm fine. What brings you here? I just heard someone shouting. Fabiola smiled awkwardly. It's nothing. I was just teaching some etiquette. Rebecca looked at Alicia. Oh my, Alicia, you must be careful when dealing with mother. After all, she is your husband's mother. Alicia looked puzzled. Why is she taking that woman's side? In the greenhouse, the sun was shining brightly. The three of them sat facing each other. Rebecca picked up her teacup and took a sip. Her pupils instantly widened. But the taste. Fabiola glanced at her. Rebecca's face sank. She looked at Alicia beside her. She suddenly grabbed the tablecloth and gave it a hard yank. Boiling hot tea splashed onto Alicia. She screamed. Rebecca covered her mouth. Oh my God. Alicia, I'm sorry. Alicia looked at the burns on the back of her hand. You did that on purpose, didn't you? Rebecca frantically waved her hands. How could I do such a thing? By the way, burns will leave scars. You should go get it treated quickly. Alicia was startled, a drop of cold sweat sliding down her cheek. She screamed and ran away. Quick, bring the medicine. Fabiola looked at Rebecca with a serious expression. Rebecca spoke frankly, just as you expected. Fabiola frowned. Expected what? Rebecca answered, I splashed the tea because I am jealous of Alicia. She also has child. If Zeppelin loves Alicia more, what should I do? Fabiola scrutinized Rebecca. Even when I tormented her with the same tricks, she never showed emotion. What is going on now? Is it simply because, as a woman, she cannot bear her husband bringing back another woman? Her mouth curled into a cold sneer. She held Rebecca's hand. Don't worry. You are the only true countess. Rebecca said, hearing your words, I feel a bit relieved. But what kind of tea is this? Drinking it makes me feel calm. You brought it, didn't you? Fabiola revealed a sinister smile. That's right. I prepared this myself. If you like it, I'll give you some. I have plenty more. A jar of tea leaves sat on the windowsill. Rebecca spoke. I hope I never have to use it. She took a deep breath, standing alone in the moonlit room. Leo meowed by the window. Rebecca turned around. I prepared some milk. Cania said cats love this kind of milk. She turned her head. I hope you like it. Julian's figure appeared. She jumped in fright. Rebecca, a few hours ago. Julian stared at a card. Croya pushed the door and entered. Should I return the gift this time too? Julian shook his head. It's fine. You may leave now. Croya nodded excitedly. Okay. Outside the door, a woman walked in. How'd it go? Croya sounded excited. The Duke accepted the gift. The woman looked pleasantly surprised. Really? Miss Lily will be thrilled. But what suddenly came over the Duke? Croya said, maybe he's finally starting to feel guilty towards Miss Lily. Leo listened quietly from the side. Julian held up a wine bottle. Leo, come here. Want something to drink? He turned his head. You don't drink anything except my divine power, right? What a pity. Leo jumped onto the sofa. Poor thing, it really breaks my heart. Julian looked at him. You should comfort me. My soulmate, Leo pondered, a child born to reproduce, and an immortal who must watch those children die over and over again. How cruel the gods are. Julian filled a glass with wine. Of all the things I enjoy, not a single one was earned by my own hands. If I were not the sacred duke, then what would I be? Leo slowly jumped onto the windowsill. Happy birthday, child. Julian locked eyes with Rebecca. Rebecca took a step back. Why are you here so late? Where did Leo go? A flash of surprise passed through Julian's eyes. Was Leo here? Rebecca stepped forward. She covered Julian's mouth. Keep your voice down. Are you drunk? Julian whispered, I see. That bastard Leo. Rebecca pressed on. Answer me. How exactly did you get here? Julian spread his hands. It seems even our all-knowing Lady Rebecca didn't even know that. Rebecca was taken aback. Are you mocking me? Julian sat on the bed. He raised his head. What's with that look? It's like I'm an impolite troublemaker. Rebecca sat down beside him. Why would you think that? I was just looking. Julian lowered his head. Everyone looks at me like that. I've never really cared. He turned his head. Anyway, I'll be getting married soon. Might as well get used to it. Rebecca's gaze was calm. All right, whatever you say. Julian chuckled. Rebecca looked confused. You asked me to do this. What are you laughing at? Julian looked at her with interest. Your reaction is different from ordinary people. Most people would scream or refuse. Rebecca interrupted him. How exactly did you get in? Where's Leo? Julian explained. We can swap bodies. Oh no, swap places. Rebecca paused. Interesting. Julian thoughtfully propped up his chin. You aren't as surprised as last time. Sometimes, you seem like someone who has lived an extra lifetime. Rebecca looked worried. Since you can teleport at will, hurry up and go home. It's too dangerous here. Julian crossed his arms. It's a bit difficult. Teleporting consumes a massive amount of energy. It takes at least 3 hours to recover. Rebecca's pupils shrank. What, 3 hours? You need to go back immediately. Julian smiled and nodded. Okay, but can you not go out at all? Rebecca's eyes dimmed, pretty much, especially when I'm faking an illness like now. Julian looked concerned. You're injured. Is it serious? You should have told me earlier. A hint of panic flashed in Rebecca's eyes. Sure, don't get excited. I said I'm faking it. I deliberately threw myself down the stairs. This is the only way to gain my freedom. Julian lowered his head. Within a month. What I need to do so you can get a divorce. Rebecca looked thoughtful. That might be difficult. First, I need to save some money through the Assassin's Guild. More importantly, the Devil's Claw needs time to grow. Julian smiled. Really? Then I will make it happen within 2 months. Rebecca reached out and gently stroked his hair. Anyway, thank you for caring about me. Julian held her hand, his fingertips warm. Rebecca was suddenly startled, cold sweat seeping from her forehead. Julian disappeared abruptly. Leo was lying face up on the bed. Rebecca picked up Leo. Has it been 3 hours already? Leo struggled a bit in her arms, then quieted down. Julian sat on the edge of the bed. His back looked lonely as he let out an exhausted sigh. Rebecca's figure appeared. She gently stroked Julian's cheek. Anyway, thank you for taking care of it. Julian fell backward onto the bed, his arm covering his eyes. A sudden sharp scream was heard. Duke, you want me to be a figurehead president? Croy sat at the desk. Why are you so agitated? You aren't just a figurehead. You are the official president of the Merchant Guild. The woman slammed the desk. You promised I would have a merchant guild named after me. Croy spoke calmly. It is now a merchant guild named after you. The registered name is Tanisha Chainist. Tanisha was furious. What's the point of that? I'm just a puppet for someone I've never even met. Croy said, I told you there's a reason. Can't you trust your brother just this once? Tanisha threatened. If you don't tell me, I'll tell everyone you made the Duke go bald. Croy spat out a mouthful of tea. Tanisha continued. The last time you gave the Duke a haircut, he went bald on a patch at the back of his head. Fortunately, he didn't make a fuss. She turned around. I can go tell the Duke right now. Croya immediately surrendered. I'll tell you. He leaned in and whispered in Tanisha's ear. Listen carefully. Zeppelin stood in the sunlit courtyard. He looked at Rebecca. When I'm not around, go to the head maid if you need anything. His gaze turned to Alicia and Alicia. Alicia responded coldly. I would never. You can leave with peace of mind, Count. Zeppelin smiled slightly. It seems my education wasn't in vain. Well then, I'm off. The carriage slowly started. The sound of wheels striking the cobblestone road echoed as Rebecca pondered. To think Zeppelin would leave at a time like this. Julian's voice echoed in her mind. Is that so? Then I'll get it done within 2 months. The corners of Rebecca's mouth lifted slightly. He really does keep his promises. Kania handed over a letter. On the way back from the market, someone gave me this. They told me I must hand it over to Lady Rebecca. The letter was unfolded. It was from the office of the honorary president of the Merchant Guild. Everything is prepared. Please come when it is convenient for you. Rebecca turned her head. Finally, I'm going to meet the person behind this letter. Rebecca walked down the bustling street. In front of her was a magnificent building, the Merchant Guild office. She raised her hand and knocked on the heavy wooden door. Tanisha opened the door. Please come in. Rebecca said, I want to see the president. Tanisha paused. I am the president. May I ask who you are? Rebecca smiled slightly. I heard you were looking for me. Tanisha remained silent. Rebecca's eyes were sharp. After all, I trust Julian's judgment. I just want to be a pure business partner. She turned and walked to the sofa, slowly sitting down. I heard you boss Duke Johannes around as you please. I thought it would be a tough battle. Time is short, so I'll be brief. I just want money. A 60-40 split. Her eyes sparkled with confidence. You take 60. I will only provide useful intelligence. After all, President, you will be doing all the hard work. She handed over a document. I believe you know how to profit from this. Tanisha looked at the document in her hand. The Lancia plays of the Uria Kingdom, the Bongani pepper of the Talibana Kingdom, the Tamara ladybugs. But these are completely worthless right now. She leaned forward. Are you a psychic? Otherwise, how do you know these things will go up in price? Rebecca's tone was flat. The source of intelligence is reliable. Don't worry. You must monopolize them. Tamara ladybugs can only be sold through this guild. Soon, someone will be willing to buy them at a high price. Before demand explodes, you should breed as many as possible. She stood up. I should go. Tanisha looked regretful. You could stay for a cup of tea. Rebecca shook her head. Next time, if there's a chance, we can chat more. Tanisha walked to the door. By the way, where should my reports be sent? Rebecca turned her head. Report to Julian. That way, I'll know everything. Tanisha blushed slightly, understood. It seems their relationship is deeper than I thought. Afternoon sunlight spilled across the reception room. Julian and the Emperor sat facing each other. Julian spoke. Is everything going well? Your Majesty, the Emperor took a sip of tea. I'm surprised you sought me out on your own initiative. Julian pondered. Before I made a request, I had never asked for a meeting. Did something happen? Julian's gaze was deep. I heard that the matter you promised me last time has already been completed. My gratitude is a bit late. The Emperor spoke. It wasn't a very difficult matter, but it's strange that you actually came to ask me. Julian set down his teacup, making a crisp sound. I have been reflecting on the kindness your Majesty has shown me. I realize that I have never truly pleased you. Because of this, from today onwards, I have decided to abandon the temple and stand by your side. The Emperor was taken aback. Is there some special reason that made you change your mind? Julian smiled slightly. Should I say that someone inspired me? He pondered. I wanted to destroy this temple for a long time. However, if I am not the Holy Duke Johannes, then who am I? I was afraid that I would lose everything after the curse disappeared. Isn't that ridiculous? He recalled Rebecca's words. This is how people gain their freedom. Julian looked at the Emperor. It's still a secret. One day you will know. Now I want to clearly prove that I stand on your Majesty's side. The Emperor waved his hand. If that's really the case, you will always be welcome. Julian asked, do you still remember the Cardiel sect? The Emperor paused. Why bring up a sect that has already vanished? Don't tell me you plan to revive it to fight against Goddess Deferia. Julian shook his head. Impossible. I have neither the power nor the reason to do so. He smiled slightly. We can learn from the past. The Goddess Deferia sect will follow the same. That path of corruption as Cardiel. He took out a document. This is about creating a new religion. I heard the Pope took a fifth wife. Moreover, he is over 30 years older than this woman. She's almost like a daughter to him. This woman was originally Belinica's fiancée. The Emperor looked at the document. So he used his power to steal Belinica's fiancée. What do you plan to do with this? Julian folded his hands and leaned forward. I am using his words to sow seeds. Through works that expose the crimes of the Pope and the priests, the seeds of distrust will be spread throughout the empire. But to achieve this, your Majesty's Mont Blanc Club is needed. The carriage traveled along the road. Julian sat in the carriage. He lowered his head. No matter what, this is something that must be done. I don't understand why we delayed it for so long. He turned his face sideways, a gloomy look in his eyes. People came and went in the sunny square. Rebecca's figure was caught in the crowd. Her blonde hair was particularly striking. A baker was holding freshly baked bread. Margaret, you're just in time. We have a visitor. Margaret looked confused. What visitor? Rebecca walked in. Hello. Margaret. Margaret was taken aback. Lady Rebecca. The two sat facing each other. Rebecca looked around. This is truly a charming and beautiful place. Margaret looked at her. I'm not quite sure why you came to find me, but this is my workplace. I have been informed. Showing up in this manner is inappropriate. A trace of apology flashed in Rebecca's eyes. I'm sorry, but I had no other choice. If I had made an appointment in advance, you wouldn't have received me. In my past life, Margaret wasn't friendly to me. She always kept her distance from me. Now I understand. This is actually a relief sculpture passed down from generation to generation in Margaret's family. Zeppelin always wanted to obtain this statue. When Margaret's father passed away, he burned down their house. In that fire, the one who survived was Margaret and her unborn child. Rebecca lowered her head. I completely understand why you hate me. But she held Margaret's hand. Can you simply treat me as Rebecca instead of a member of the Devonhill family? I came to offer you a job. I'm considering starting a business. I hope you can work there as a pastry chef. Margaret pushed her hand away. I'm just an ordinary baker. I don't understand why you're making this proposal to me. Besides, we aren't particularly close, right? Rebecca lowered her eyes. In my past life, you were very good to me. You allowed me to work in your hall. You even helped me during my postpartum recovery. I want to repay that kindness. Rebecca stood up. This will never be a loss for you. The compensation will be half of all profits. I assure you that if you accept my proposal, you won't regret it. Rebecca walked alone on the cobblestone road. Even though I said it wasn't necessary, the boss still gave me a bag of bread. She picked up a piece of bread and ate it. Wow, so delicious. A hand suddenly pressed down on her shoulder. Rebecca turned around. Julian, why are you here? You startled me. Julian rubbed his head awkwardly. I was just passing by. I'm glad to see you. I didn't mean to scare you, sorry. Since there are so many people, let's go to the carriage. The inside of the carriage was completely silent. Julian thought to himself, I'm doomed. I should have left earlier. Rebecca looked up. Duke, I have prepared what is needed. Julian looked out the window. Let him come in. Rebecca was startled. What is that? The dining table was filled with food. Skewers, pies, and sandwiches gave off a rich aroma. Rebecca covered her mouth. These are foods sold in the market. I used to eat them often when I was a child. I haven't tasted them in a long time. Julian leaned forward. I was curious. The food here is plenty. Since it's like this, you should eat some too. Rebecca closed her eyes. Unfortunately, I have to hurry back. Let's eat together next time. Her stomach let out a rumble. Her cheeks instantly flushed red. The corners of Julian's mouth lifted slightly. But your stomach seems to disagree. He held up a skewer of roasted meat. Eat this before you go. I think this one smells the best. Rebecca hesitantly reached out her hand, then just one bite. She took the skewer. She brought it to her lips. The familiar taste. It was terrifying, even to the point of making it hard to breathe. Julian rested his chin on one hand. Did the Count starve you? You claim to be full after eating so little. With your slender waist, I'm really curious how all your organs fit inside. Rebecca smiled with her eyes closed. Organ? You really speak bluntly. Julian gazed at her. He gave a light cough. As expected, a smiling face suits you better. Sunlight spilled over the castle. The sky was clear and bright. Rebecca walked on the road back to the castle. Her eyes widened abruptly. Zeppelin's carriage slowly drove into the estate. He walked into the hall. Where's Rebecca? The butler replied, Madam is resting in her room. Zeppelin walked up the stairs. His eyes were gloomy. What on earth is the Emperor thinking? To actually commission a painting that insults the temple. It's very strange why he would drag me into this gamble. A sound came over. His gaze darkened. Someone had entered Rebecca's room. If it was a servant, they should have greeted me first. He slowly pushed the door open. A gasp came from inside the room. Zeppelin. Rebecca suddenly crashed into his arms. Zeppelin. Zeppelin was startled. Rebecca, you can walk? Rebecca looked up. Not long ago. I've been practicing secretly. I want to give you a surprise. Rebecca hugged him tightly. Ah, my lovely Rebecca. Seeing you, all the exhaustion of the day disappears. His eyes turned sharp. Was that sound just now Kania? In the corner of the room, Kania stood quietly. Rebecca looked up and smiled. You said you would be away for a long time, but you came back early. Zeppelin said, listening to your tone, it sounds like you're not happy that I'm back. Rebecca explained, how could that be? I'm just too happy. Zeppelin closed his eyes. I knew you were joking, but I do have to leave for a period of time. I just came back to pack some things. I have to set off early tomorrow morning. He whispered in Rebecca's ear. So stay tonight. In order not to repeat the same mistakes, I will come to you tonight. Zeppelin suddenly let out a sneeze. He released his embrace, a confused expression on his face. He turned and walked toward the door. Then wait for me. The door closed. Rebecca's legs gave out. She collapsed to the ground. Kania rushed forward. Lady Rebecca. Rebecca turned around. I'm fine. You were worried I'd be late, right? Sorry. Kania looked anxious, not entirely, but at this rate. She hesitated to speak. She then opened the wardrobe door. Rebecca spoke. Susan, I'm sorry. Things got complicated. I completely forgot about you. Susan shook her head. It's okay. Rebecca asked, you weren't discovered during the day, right? Kania answered, no one noticed. Susan disguised herself as Lady Rebecca. Rebecca picked up a necklace. Thank you, Susan. As agreed, one necklace is yours. The maid Susan took the necklace. Thank you. Rebecca stood alone by the window. Today, I achieved all my goals. I also got to see Julian. She closed her eyes. A trace of a smile appeared on the corners of her mouth. Her eyes suddenly snapped open. Cold sweat seeped from her forehead. Not good. This feeling is a bit dangerous. The night was deep. Zeppelin sat at the desk, looking exhausted. He intertwined his 10 fingers. It feels as if she wants to leave me. I shouldn't have to worry, right? Just in case. He pulled the servant summon cord nearby. Grace pushed the door open and entered. Did you call for me? Zeppelin's eyes were ice cold. Bring that thing I made a long time ago. A dark, cold smile hooked on the corners of his mouth. It seems I need it now. I smelled a faint scent of sweat on Rebecca. Inside this very manor, she has no reason to sweat. She also constantly avoids my gaze and occasionally looks at me with cold eyes. The hounds haven't reported any anomalies, but something isn't right. Right, everything started from that celebration banquet. From that moment on, Rebecca changed. Zeppelin walked down the stairs. His footsteps were heavy. He stopped at the end of the corridor. Alicia was standing there. Zeppelin spoke. Alicia, why haven't you slept yet? Alicia responded gently. I felt the baby move. It's as if the baby knows Daddy is back. Can you let the baby hear Daddy's voice? Zeppelin gazed at her, his pupils slightly constricted. How charming. His heart skipped a beat. Was Alicia always this beautiful? The first time I saw Alicia was in a village on the border. At the time, I was going to seek out a painter. The carriage drove past the estate. Wheels rolled along. Zeppelin stepped out of the carriage. His pace was hurried. He looked toward the garden with cold eyes. Alicia stood there. The water bucket tipped over and splashed water soaked her collar. She was indeed pleasing to the eye, but that relationship was nothing more than that. I never promised a future. Never. But later, Rebecca walked up to Zeppelin. There is someone I want you to meet. Alicia bowed slightly, a gentle smile on her face. I'm very pleased to meet you, Count. Zeppelin's gaze fell on her. Alicia is more resilient than I imagined. Alicia looked up at Zeppelin. Am I not beautiful? Zeppelin nodded. You are. He leaned down and kissed Alicia's lips. The first time I heard she was pregnant, I felt like she had stolen the child that should have belonged to Rebecca and me. But now, he gazed at Alicia. I feel like I could even love this child. He wrapped his arm around Alicia's shoulder. Let's go to your room. Rebecca sat on the bed. Kania stepped forward to report. As you expected, the Count entered Alicia's room. Rebecca turned her head. There was not a trace of warmth in her blue eyes. Memories surfaced. She had said to Alicia, you want to take what's mine, right? Then thoroughly utilize what you have. Utilize what I don't have, but you do. Alicia looked bewildered. She placed her hand on her stomach. The corners of Rebecca's mouth lifted slightly. It seems you used my advice today. He will soon be leaving for a month on the Emperor's orders. By the time he comes back, the world he knows will begin to collapse. The next day, Zeppelin faced everyone. Kania stood with her hands down and reported, my lord. Lady Rebecca cried all night for you. Zeppelin turned to the headmaid, Grace. Before I leave, I have something to give my wives. An iron chain suddenly snapped locked. Alicia raised her wrist in terror. Count. At this time, Zeppelin smiled. The headmaid has the key. She will only unlock the handcuffs in an emergency. Alicia's face turned pale white, looking at Zeppelin in disbelief. Robert knelt on one knee. Lady Rebecca, I returned. Rebecca sat quietly. She asked, did you find anything? Robert closed his eyes. The Count's paranoia has acted up again. He looked up. Lady Rebecca, I couldn't get the hard evidence you mentioned, but I found someone who might know some information. I heard a rumor that a madman claimed to have escaped from the island. Perhaps he can give us the clues we want, but I haven't been able to track him down yet. Give me a little time. I will definitely find him. Rebecca lowered her head. Robert, are you good at lying? Robert was stunned. Cold sweat slid down. What? Rebecca leaned down, her eyes sharp, spread a rumor among the hounds. Rebecca is truly a saint. She is blessed by God and can foresee the future. Her marriage with Zeppelin is a trial of the saints. Gustav leaned over and looked at the bottles and jars on the table. He let out a low chuckle. It succeeded. A delicate plant poked its leaves out of the pot, gleaming with a dark green luster under the light. 1 month ago, sunlight poured into the greenhouse hall. The table was covered with instruments. Gustav turned sideways. Are you sure you really want to give this to me? Julian smiled warmly. Of course. Don't worry about other things. Just focus on your research. Two mates pushed a dining cart inside. Mr. Gustav, it's time to eat. Julian extended a hand to gesture. Do you need new materials? I'll have them brought immediately. Gustav clasped his hands together, his expression in a daze. Is this heaven? Because I heard he had a terrible personality, I was always very nervous. It seems those were all lies. He held up a potted plant, his face brimming with pride. It only took 1 month. Now I can finally show it to the Duke. The door was abruptly pushed open. Julian spoke to ask, "Is the devil's claw ready?" Gustav nodded yes. "Do you want to confer it yourself?" Julian held the flower pot. "How do I consume it?" Gustav answered, "You just need to chew and swallow the freshly picked leaves." Julian nodded. "Well done." He handed over a heavy money bag. "This is your bonus, a reward for your hard work." Gustav took the money bag. His Adam's apple bobbed. So much money. Julian cleared his throat. "Sorry. The situation was urgent before, so I might have spoken a bit harshly. There's still a mountain of research waiting for you." Gustav's body shuddered. "What? Isn't the research on the devil's claw finished? What are you talking about?" Julian approached. "Have you heard of the rose grape?" Gustav looked panicked. "Don't tell me it's the variety that Count Devonhill applied for a patent for." Julian leaned in and whispered, "Your deadline is 1 week." Gustav felt completely cold. I knew it. He really is a madman. A demon. 3 men wearing cloaks stood in the estate. The leader asked, "Robert, were there any anomalies while monitoring Madam?" Robert looked serious. "I have a report, but I realized something. I think Madam might be a saint. Do you remember when I was drenched with water during the mansion renovations a few days ago? That happened right after Madam spoke. Madam can see the future. She must be a saint. Besides, she is beautiful and kind-hearted. All conditions perfectly match." The leading knight reprimanded, "You're truly crazy. That was just a coincidence. Stop talking nonsense." The other man's tone was firm. "She really is a saint. I've experienced it firsthand too." Rebecca glanced back. "Rodrigo, watch the sky above. That's all I can tell you." Suddenly, a roof tile slipped off the roof and smashed straight down toward Rodrigo. Rodrigo leaned back in horror and fell heavily to the ground. The tile shattered right in front of him. Rebecca's voice echoed in his mind. "Watch the sky above." His face was full of shock. Madam really has the power of foresight. One person raised a question. "But why are we only learning about Lady Rebecca's abilities now?" Rodrigo explained, "I heard the Count is her trial. So her powers only manifest when the Count is absent." A trace of a smile curved on Robert's lips. Night fell. The starlight was scattered. Rodrigo stepped into the room. Rebecca sat upright. She turned her head. "Welcome, Rodrigo." She smiled slightly. "So, have you decided who you will pledge your loyalty to?" Rodrigo's Adam's apple bobbed. He swallowed a gulp of saliva. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, illuminating a magnificent estate. A purple-haired man stood in front of an easel. His paintbrush flew across the canvas. Zeppelin had his arms crossed. He looked at the painter, inwardly confused. What was he doing? "I thought I was sent to monitor the painter." He fell onto the edge of the bed. This is no different from exile. He opened his locket. Inside was a portrait of Rebecca. "I really can't believe I have to waste my time in a place like this." The paintbrush moved across the canvas, making a rustling sound. The painter approached. "You seem to be drawing your wife." Zeppelin's body stiffened. He turned his head abruptly. "I had no intention of showing it to anyone." The painter said, "If a painting is not admired by anyone, it is no different from being dead." He looked at the sketch on the canvas. "Count, you are very talented." Zeppelin shook his head. "Compared to your work, this is just trash." He suddenly looked up. "Wait a minute. How do you know I'm drawing Rebecca?" The painter smiled slightly. "There is no artist who doesn't know your wife. They all hope Lady Rebecca could become their muse, even when she was just a child." He leaned down. "Think carefully." Zeppelin backed away in terror. "What are you doing?" The painter pondered. "You also have such an enviably beautiful face." Zeppelin pushed him away abruptly. "I am not an artwork." "Watch your words." The painter waved his hand. "In that case, grant me a request. Please become my muse." A smile curled at the corners of his mouth. "Don't you want to be the subject of a masterpiece that gets passed down through generations?" Zeppelin's eyes were icy. "You want me to be the model for a painting meant to blaspheme the temple? Do I look like a fool?" The painter crossed his arms. "How many people do you think would recognize you? Moreover, I don't like complete realism." He lifted the corner of his mouth. "What do you think of my proposal?" Zeppelin froze in place. He pondered. "To become the model for the famous painter Belinica. That painting is destined to be a masterpiece. A masterpiece that will leave a good name for 100 generations and be passed down from age to age." He swallowed his saliva. "I'm actually going to be recorded in history." He hesitated and spoke. "If it's only for a brief moment." A smile curled on the painter's lips. Inside the Grand Manor, Julian sat behind a desk. He glanced at the document in his hand. To think he actually agreed. What a fool. The fountain pen scratched across the paper. I want to take this opportunity to imprison Zeppelin. Let him taste 1/10,000th of Rebecca's pain. That man is beyond saving. He issued an order. Send more men to Zeppelin. Make it difficult for him to even breathe. Croy took the letter. Yes, my lord. Julian held a wine glass, deep in thought. Rebecca, what's she doing right now? Rebecca's face surfaced in his mind. Julian staggered toward the edge of the table. He took out a pill and swallowed it in one gulp. He supported himself on the chair and sat down. The influence of the curse is getting stronger. I must take Rebecca away from the Count's manor as soon as possible. He picked up the wine bottle from the table. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. Excellent. I'll use this. When Zeppelin returns, he will never see Rebecca again. Sunlight bathed the Devon Hill estate. Rebecca paced in the corridor. So far, I bribed 6 guard dogs. Intelligence shows that the estate has a total of 13 guards, excluding the night bets, who cannot be persuaded no matter what, and the head maid, Grace. Now only 5 remain. The problem is the remaining 4 people. 3 of them are deeply in debt, and I absolutely cannot find the weakness of the last one. Her eyes were solemn. What on earth should I do? Alicia's voice came over. This is too stifling. Release me at once. Grace's expression was indifferent. The Count's order. The handcuffs cannot be unlocked except in an emergency. Alicia struggled with the handcuffs. Is this not an emergency? Look, my skin is scraped. Grace was expressionless. The inner lining of these handcuffs is made of the finest silk. Unless you forcefully try to break free, you wouldn't have such scratches. Could it be that you are being disrespectful to the Count's token? Alicia raised her head. I am carrying the Count's heir. Excessive stress is very bad for me. If anything goes wrong, you will be the first one to suffer. Release me while I'm asking nicely. Grace's face did not change. She leaned closer to Alicia. This is the rule. If you still want to stay in this beautiful estate, please follow the rules. The Count gave me full authority to punish you. But considering that you are pregnant, I will not carry it out. Alicia gritted her teeth. You will regret this. She turned and walked up the stairs. Grace watched her back. A cold smile appeared on the corner of her lips. Grace walked down the stairs and brushed past Rebecca. She slowly spoke, Madam. This is already the 2nd time. Rebecca turned her head, cold sweat slipping down. What are you talking about? Grace's tone was flat. I am referring to the number of times I've tolerated your mistakes. The first time was when you wore a maid's outfit, attempting to deceive me. She turned her head. Do you think there's anything in this estate that I don't know about? Rebecca's throat tightened. She forced herself to remain calm. Do I need to thank you for this? Grace recalled the scene when her daughter was critically ill. When my daughter fell into a coma due to an incurable disease. Thanks to you persuading the Count, I was able to see her one last time. To repay you, I decided to help you 3 times. Therefore, I will not report the rumors about you being a saint to the Count. Don't worry, this doesn't count as one of the 3 times. A peculiar light flashed in her eyes. You are too perfect, madam. Rebecca looked at Grace. That look in her eyes was as if she spoke. Your tone of voice is very similar to the Count's. It's as if you are the master of this place. Grace lowered her head. The true masters of this place are the people of the Devon Hill family. It's just that my ancestors have guarded this place for generations and have special feelings for it. Rebecca said, I will always be grateful for your loyalty. She turned around. So you're saying I still have one more chance, right? Don't forget that promise. The room door was abruptly pushed open. Rebecca turned her head in terror. Oh my God, what are you doing? Kania was holding a dagger pointed at Julian. Julian pushed Kania away with one hand, rubbing his neck with the other. He looked shaken. Is this person a guard knight or a maid? Kania asked, do you know this person? Rebecca let out a sigh of relief. Let me formally introduce you. This is Kania. Her skills are on par with a guard knight, but she is my personal maid. This is Julian, also known as Duke Johannes. She ordered sternly, now shake hands, like saying nice to meet you. She forcefully pressed their hands together. Julian whispered, I have important matters to discuss with you privately. Kania interrupted coldly, no, you don't. Charlotte. Eleanor looked at Kania with a hint of surprise in her eyes. Rebecca held Kania's hand. It's fine. This person is not dangerous. Kania lowered her gaze. I understand, but if anything happens, please call me immediately. I will come right away. Rebecca sat on the bed. What is it? Julian smiled confidently. I got the leaves of the Devil's Claw. Rebecca was shocked. Really? When can you bring them to me? Julian looked toward the window right now. The leaves must be picked within today. Rebecca suddenly stood up. The color and the shape of the leaves. This is truly the Devil's Claw. Julian said, "Is that all?" Rebecca turned her head in confusion. "What?" Julian looked at her. "I went through a lot of trouble to get this. Just saying thanks with your mouth isn't enough." Rebecca's body stiffened. "What do you want?" Julian held her hand. "What do you think?" He looked down and gazed at her. "I want the thing we couldn't finish last time." Rebecca's cheeks flushed red. Her hands pushed against Julian's chest. "Wait, we aren't married yet. I know you are in the prime of your youth." But Julian looked innocent. "What are you talking about?" He pulled up Rebecca's hand and gently placed it on the top of his head. "I want you to pat my head." Rebecca's pupils shrank slightly. Julian chuckled. "Your face is all red. What were you thinking about just now?" Rebecca hurriedly retorted. "What do you mean? I wasn't thinking about anything." Julian leaned in close. "Were you not thinking about something bad? Otherwise, why is your face so red? No one has ever patted my head like this." He closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of her palm. "And no one has ever thanked me so sincerely." Rebecca leaned close to Julian and sniffed. Julian looked shocked. "What are you doing?" Rebecca asked. "You don't smell like alcohol. Are you drunk again?" Julian answered with a smile. "Unfortunately, I am very sober." Rebecca turned her head. "Eating it will be very painful. I will become hideously ugly. I will get blisters all over my body and emit a foul stench. So ugly that no one will want to take a second look at me." Julian's eyes were probing. "Aren't you afraid?" Rebecca's gaze was firm. "I swore I wouldn't run away anymore. My future holds only revenge or destruction. What else is there to hesitate about?" She reached out and resolutely plucked the leaf. Julian's face suddenly changed. "If you touch it with your bare hands like that." Rebecca put the leaf into her mouth. She chewed on the leaf. She sighed in relief. "Great. This way, when Zeppelin comes back, I won't have to worry about sharing a bed with him." She turned around. "Do you want some tea?" "No one ever comes to my room at this hour." Julian clenched his fists. "I just remembered something I have to do." Rebecca turned her head. Leo sat on the ground and meowed. Rebecca crouched down. "You said you had to wait 3 hours to switch bodies. But it's not time yet. Why did you lie to me?" She hugged Leo and lay on the bed. "That night, I had a dream. I dreamed of an endless long road. I wasn't afraid because at the end of the road, there was a calling. Before my eyes was no longer a dark corridor, but a sunlit courtyard. Flowers were in full bloom. Julian stood among the flowers, quietly looking at her. Ugly scars surfaced on Rebecca's cheeks. She softly murmured, "Julian." Moonlight spilled across the room. The curtains fluttered in the night wind. Julian drew a dagger and walked to the bedside. "If I kill Zeppelin Devonhill right now, everything will be much simpler. Rebecca will be able to escape that terrible mansion. After she becomes a widow, that I can marry her sooner." Zeppelin was sound asleep on the bed. His face was peaceful. Julian gripped the dagger tightly, his knuckles turning white. But he turned and walked away. "I have no right to punish this bastard. The right to punish him belongs to Rebecca." The sleeping Zeppelin muttered Rebecca's name. Julian clenched his fists. A scream tore through the night sky. Zeppelin woke up with a start. He sat up abruptly, blankly clutching his cheek. The night outside the window was silent. Zeppelin looked in the mirror. The wound has finally healed. He sat in the carriage. Who exactly was it? My return was delayed by a week. Could this also be what the Emperor's doing? The butler bowed respectfully. "Welcome back, Count." Zeppelin leaned closer to Alicia. "How have you been doing lately? Where is Rebecca?" The butler looked troubled. "Didn't I send you a letter?" Zeppelin looked confused. "What letter?" The butler explained. "Lady Rebecca has fallen ill. She has had a fever since last week. 3 days ago, blisters started appearing on her body." Zeppelin pushed Alicia aside. "What? Why are you only telling me this now? Didn't you say everything was fine?" The butler explained. "I have been explaining it in the letters." Lady Rebecca's condition. Zeppelin hurriedly went upstairs. "Don't tell me the Emperor has also been secretly inspecting my letters." He pushed open Rebecca's door and walked in. Rebecca's voice came through. "Zeppelin." Zeppelin's pupils shrank. "Why?" Rebecca lay on the bed, her face covered in blisters. Zeppelin pinned the doctor against the door. "What are you doing?" The doctor explained. "I have tried every possible method. I have never seen a disease like this. Now it can only wait." Zeppelin roared. "Are you saying she will die like this?" The doctor stammered, "Yes." Zeppelin pointed at him. "Go find a solution right now." The doctor hurriedly left. "Yes." Zeppelin covered his mouth and nose. He looked at Rebecca. "Don't worry. I will get you back to normal." Kania touched Rebecca's head. "The situation is bad. The madam's temperature is even higher. She needs to rest." Zeppelin turned to leave. "Take good care of her." The room was silent. Rebecca smiled faintly. "How was my performance?" Kania looked at her. "Absolutely perfect." Rebecca rolled over. "You saw it too, right?" He looked so worried. "You didn't dare to come near me." As if he was afraid of catching it. She chuckled softly. "That is Zeppelin for you. He's the kind of man who worries more about himself than his sick wife. All his words of love are lies." There's no true love at all. Once the other person cannot give you what you want, love will instantly shatter. I really don't understand why people call it love. A fist violently smashed onto the desk. Zeppelin whispered angrily. How could Rebecca turn out like this? The butler beside him spoke up. My lord, I have something to tell you. Zeppelin didn't even turn his head. Octavio, if it's not important, shut up. Octavio stepped forward. This matter might be related. Zeppelin ordered, speak. Octavio reported, there are rumors that Madame's illness is a divine disease. After you left, rumors that Lady Rebecca is a saintess started to spread. From my observation, Madame seems to possess the divine power of foreseeing the future. Zeppelin's eyes sharpened. Are you joking? Octavio insisted. It is true. More than 1 or 2 servants have been helped by Madame. Zeppelin said, if that's true, how could she not know this time? Octavio explained, I heard her divine power has been suppressed for some reason. Zeppelin questioned, who on earth spread this ridiculous rumor? Octavio answered, it was Robert. Zeppelin's eyes narrowed. Robert. His fingers lightly stroked his lower lip. So is that bastard pulling strings behind the scenes? I should have known. Octavio revealed a faint sneer. He walked out of the study. His footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. Grace walked toward him. Is the Count asleep? Octavio stopped in his tracks. Lady Grace, you don't need to worry. I've taken care of everything. Are you waiting here to know if I told him the rumor about the Saintess? Grace asked in return, you told him? Octavio spread his hands. What's so surprising about that? The Count has the right to know everything going on in the manor. Grace sniffed the air. This scent. Is he burning that incense again? The one the late Count forbade. Octavio said coldly. The late Count has already passed away. The current Count is Lord Zeppelin. As long as the Count permits it, what's the problem? The corner of his mouth lifted. By the way, I also mentioned that Robert was the source of the rumor. He should be investigated. After all, he was once your prospective son-in-law. Grace's body stiffened. Octavio turned around. Then I will take my leave. I still have many things to attend to. Grace watched his retreating figure, her lips pressed tightly together. She clenched her fists. Kania reported, Robert has been called away. The Count urgently sought him this morning. Did you know in advance that he would be discovered? Rebecca said calmly, a bit later than I thought. It was probably Octavio's doing. A plan to divert Zeppelin's attention away from me and onto a traitor. Kania's face changed. Then Robert. Rebecca's eyes turned cold. He will die. Kania's face stiffened. What? Water suddenly splashed. Robert panted heavily. He was tied to a chair, covered in sweat and bloodstains. Zeppelin's voice was cold. I will ask you one more time. Why did you spread such nonsense? Robert's gaze was firm. It is not nonsense. She really is a saintess. Zeppelin wore a hypocritical look of regret on his face. What a pity, Robert. I really valued you. A branding iron burned red hot in the fire. Robert spoke weakly. Can I have a cigarette? I'll tell you the truth after I finish it. Zeppelin waved his hand. All right, a dying wish should be granted. Robert took out a cigarette from his pocket. He lit it and took 2 puffs. A smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Everything was within his grasp. He spoke. I admire her. Zeppelin was taken aback. Who are you talking about? Robert looked up and met his gaze directly. Do you want me to say it again? I adore Lady Rebecca. I love her beautiful face and soul. Lady Rebecca is too good for you. If you truly love her, let her go. You are nothing but an obstacle in her life. Zeppelin threw a vicious punch at Robert's cheek. Bastard, a dog dares to covet its master? Octavio raised his hand to stop him. Please hold your hand. A blond man stepped forward to check Robert's condition. He is already dead. Zeppelin shook off his bloodstained hand. Dispose of him as you see fit. So disgusting. Octavio, prepare a bath. Octavio took the order. Yes, my lord. The two turned and left. Inside a sunlit study, a blonde lady held a quill, making scratching sounds on paper. A visitor stood by the window, wearing a dark cloak. Hello. The blonde woman's pupils shrank. Who are you? The visitor slowly pulled down their hood. A magnificent white castle stood beneath the blue sky and white clouds. A doctor stood by the bed. I can prescribe some fever-reducing medicine, but the effect is only temporary. Zeppelin stood at the corner of the bed, looking anxious. His hand subconsciously went to his forehead. This is the 20th time. So many doctors have come in these few weeks. Yet no one knows the name of the disease. Rebecca opened her eyes. Of course, this was not a disease. It was poisoning from the devil's claw herb. However, it was much more painful than she remembered. She was pale and spoke with difficulty. Zeppelin, give up on me. You still have Alicia. Zeppelin turned his head. My only wife is you. Rebecca. Footsteps approached from afar. Octavio stopped at the door. Pardon the intrusion. He stepped forward quickly and whispered in Zeppelin's ear. Zeppelin's expression instantly froze. He turned abruptly. What? To the vineyard. I must go there immediately. He irritably grabbed his hair. Damn it, at a time like this. Octavio softly reassured him, leave this place to me. Go with peace of mind. Also, the temple has contacted us. Zeppelin glanced sideways. The temple? Didn't I say that was futile? Octavio insisted, but this is our last hope. It wouldn't hurt to try one more time. Zeppelin closed his eyes. Tell them there's no need. He looked at Rebecca. I need to go out for a while. Octavio will take care of you. Rebecca replied weakly. All right, go ahead, Zeppelin. She looked at Octavio in front of her, fearing being implicated after Robert's death. Cania was sent to the laundry room. A new maid replaced her position. I'm all alone again. This was all Octavio's arrangement. After all, he had the authority to dispatch the hunting dogs. Fortunately, this gave Cania more freedom to act. I just have to wait. Julian has already started dealing with the rose grapes. Now we just wait for the plan to proceed step by step. Viscount Ovelia's mansion, a grand estate standing with sunlight pouring into the courtyard. Rebecca's mother stood indoors, holding a black handbag, looking thoughtful. I must quickly fulfill Rebecca's request. The door was suddenly pushed open. Rebecca's father rushed in. Darling, where exactly are you going? The madam turned around, looking slightly impatient. How? I told you last time I'm going to Mrs. Jenkins's house. Theo stared at her intently. Don't lie to me. Whenever you lie, your right eyebrow twitches. Did you find another man? Is it because I am not capable enough? The madam looked bewildered. What nonsense are you talking about? Theo fell to his knees and tightly hugged her legs. I can't live without you. If you're going to marry someone else, please take me as your lover. The madam was infuriated by his absurd behavior. What on earth are you babbling about? Two girls rushed in. Father, they had a firm expression. Mother is going to make money, so don't get in her way. Theo looked back, his eyes full of confusion. Make money? The madam rubbed her forehead, looking helpless. I can't explain the details. That's right. She bent down and gently stroked Theo's cheek. So, please stop crying. Theo burst into tears. Darling, it's all my fault for being too useless, which is why. The madam roared. I told you to stop crying. Tanisha sat in her office. A subordinate reported, the people from Count Devonhill's family have arrived. Tanisha looked up. They're finally here. She walked up the stairs, looking expectant. Now it's my turn. During the construction of the salon, Madame Dana handled many other matters. Her excellent social skills were a great help when dealing with noble ladies. It was only when Rebecca mentioned it casually that she learned Dana had been a maid to the Empress for many years. Tanisha smiled, her eyes determined. Rebecca's letter mentioned that Tanisha should spare no effort to make as much profit as possible. Tanisha clasped her hands together, her gaze full of determination. All right, now is the time to make money. A bearded man sat opposite Tanisha. His posture was arrogant. This is truly a generous offer. He looked at Tanisha across from him, a hint of a disdainful smile forming at the corner of his mouth. Just a greenhorn girl. It seems it will be easier than I thought. Wine and art distribution are one of the Devonhill family's biggest businesses. But overnight, all the rose grapes withered because of the Swana aphid. There's only one way to kill the Swana aphid, and that is using the Tamara ladybug. However, Tanisha's company bought up all the Tamara ladybugs in the country. The bearded man rested his chin on his hand, his eyes sharp. At first, I suspected it was this company that caused the grapes to wither. But looking at it now, unless they were crazy, how could they dare make an enemy of the Devonhill family? Tanisha held a quill and wrote rapidly on a piece of paper. I think you'll have to pay this much. She pushed the note toward the man. It read, 20 million gold coins. The bearded man waved his hand dismissively. Little girl, your sense of money needs improvement. No one would spend that kind of price on a few bugs. Tanisha's expression did not change. Is that so? She smiled and held up a new note. 10 million gold coins. How is this price? Isn't the gentleman in a hurry? The bearded man slammed the table and stood up. How dare you raise the price? I'm the representative of Count Devonhill. Show some respect. Tanisha spoke in a flat tone. You call me little girl first. I thought we were aligning our forms of address. The summer festival is coming up, as well as the Crown Prince's birthday banquet. Forget the present. We have monopolized the only cure. Isn't a price increase a matter of course? Her eyes turned icy. Besides, your boss is Zeppelin. If he can't drink his favorite wine, then he might end up dead. The bearded man's pupils shrank and cold sweat dripped down. How could she know? I thought she was just a little girl. This woman is definitely not to be trifled with. Julian looked at the note and smiled faintly. The priest walked in. Sorry to keep you waiting. I apologize. He sat opposite Julian. Something happened at home. Julian pondered. He must be looking for his fifth wife. His wife should be enjoying a sea voyage with Belinica at this very moment. The priest picked up his staff. Wait a moment. A beam of blue light lit up. Julian frowned deeply. Once a month, it never feels good. The priest smiled as he looked at him. How come you look better every time? Leo suddenly bristled and let out a hiss. He leaped up and jumped next to Julian. The priest said, he seems to be acting out of line. Julian stroked Leo. His tone was disdainful. Just to give this toy a little light, I have to go through this every month. Do you know that every time I do this, my lifespan shortens? The priest smiled. How can someone who serves the gods call a holy relic a toy? Julian stood up. Task completed. We're leaving. The priest urged, when on earth are you going to get married? You should produce an heir. Julian retorted, with all those wives of yours, you don't have an heir either, do you? A multi-sided die rolled in the air, radiating light, is said to be able to predict a person's fortune. As long as a donation is made, anyone can throw it once to see their luck for the day. The higher the number, the better the luck for that day. A red-haired man fell to his knees and let out a miserable scream. The men in line waved impatiently. Hurry up and leave if you're done. But all of this was just a scam, a facade to attract gamblers. What they truly wanted to exploit was the casino connected to the temple. Julian watched all this, his eyes cold. No matter how many times I see it, this place makes me uncomfortable. A priest hurried over. Your Holiness, I have an urgent matter to report to you. The priest turned around. I apologize, I must leave first. He smiled. I wish you a safe journey. Julian looked at Leo. What did he say? Leo replied, Rebecca might be a saintess. Julian was taken aback. What? Rebecca sat on the bed. She pondered. So this is the news from the temple. Her eyes narrowed, bringing the priest while Zeppelin is away at the vineyard. Octavio, what on earth are you thinking? Octavio leaned in. His voice was soft and enchanting. As long as you become a saintess, you can leave this place. She smiled faintly. So that's why you spread those rumors. It will help me escape from here. Rebecca's pupils slightly shrank. I see. Octavio wants me to leave Zeppelin's side. With me around, he can't do whatever he wants with the manor. A priest dressed in a white robe stood by the bed. He held a pendant. Please place your hand on the holy relic. Rebecca calmly reached out her hand. It doesn't matter. The holy relic won't glow anyway. My plan will never fail. Her hand touched the pendant. The holy relic instantly erupted with blinding light. The priest's eyes widened in shock. This light, he suddenly fell to his knees. His voice trembled. It is the saintess. Rebecca's face turned pale. Octavio, did you tamper with the holy relic just to drive me away? The corner of Octavio's mouth curled into a smug smile. Zeppelin violently pushed the door open. What is that sound? Rebecca looked up in astonishment. Zeppelin. Zeppelin's eyes were cold. He grabbed Octavio by the collar. I warned you. Don't do anything stupid. Octavio's expression did not change. I sent a letter saying you didn't need to go to the temple, but it seems it was too late. However, it wasn't entirely fruitless. Look at that light. Lady Rebecca is a true saintess. Zeppelin looked at Rebecca in shock. Rebecca cannot be a saintess. The priest held the glowing holy relic. The holy relic shines so brightly. The countess is chosen by the gods. Zeppelin's eyes were gloomy. He recalled Robert's words. That is not a rumor. She is a true saintess. Robert had not lied. Octavio looked at the priest. Then the blisters and high fever on her body are also due to the divine power? The priest nodded in confirmation. Yes, in the past, if a person possessing divine power refused to become a vessel for the gods, they would fall ill. Rashes would cover their whole body, and a high fever would persist. The countess is suffering from divine punishment. Rebecca's heart was shaken. Impossible. This isn't divine punishment. It's because I ate the devil's claw. Zeppelin grabbed the priest's collar. Then what about a cure? There must be a way to return to normal, right? The priest looked serious. There's only one way. She must accept the gods. There is no other way. To do this, the countess must divorce the count and devote herself entirely to serving the gods. Zeppelin's eyes widened. What? His body swayed. Octavio supported him. The priest turned to Rebecca. A decision must be made now, whether to become a saintess or not. Zeppelin roared. Is there even need to say? Wait, if becoming a saintess is the only cure, if Rebecca refuses, doesn't that mean I will have to spend the rest of my life with her in this condition? The priest looked at Zeppelin. Your opinion does not count. The most important thing is her own will. He turned to Rebecca. Are you willing to become a faithful servant of the goddess? Rebecca lowered her eyes. Octavio smashed a vase on the ground. Damn it, his eyes were bloodshot. How dare she fool me? Rebecca placed her hand on her chest. I will not become a saintess. I cannot imagine a life without Zeppelin. Octavio touched his forehead. I thought she wanted to leave. Why? I paved the way for you, yet you don't take it. Did I overestimate her? Moreover, Zeppelin roared, Octavio. Didn't I warn you not to do anything stupid? Octavio's eyes darkened. Even the Count is starting to slip from my control. If I cannot shake him with my own hands. A knock came at the door. He opened it. What is it? A cloaked figure whispered. Lady Alicia has left her room. The corner of Octavio's mouth slightly curled. Excellent. The Count has a new plaything. An abandoned doll. Alicia walked alone down the corridor, her figure, looking lonely. I thought everything was over. That Rebecca, in that miserable state, would be driven out, and I would become the true Countess. Alicia eavesdropped on the conversation behind the door. Zeppelin grabbed Octavio's shoulders. How can I have a child with her without touching her? Divine punishment is not hereditary. I should still be able to have a child, right? Alicia's thoughts were in turmoil. The Count will not let Rebecca go. Even if he abandons her, he will never give up the child in her womb. Alicia's eyes shimmered with tears. If that happens, what about our child? She held a small knife, its handle cold. I will protect you, my child. She walked toward the tightly shut door, her figure resolute. Octavio spoke up. What do you plan to do with that small knife? With your meager strength, you can't even inflict a fatal wound. I told you to think twice before acting. I will help you one more time. Alicia looked confused. What are you talking about? Octavio took out a vial. This vial contains the venom of a poisonous snake. Are you afraid? This venom will end a life in a gentle way. It is almost painless. Do you want to be a fool, be pushed aside, and then return to where you started? Alicia snatched the vial from him. What did I ever say no? Alicia ran wildly along a country path. Her skirt fluttered in the wind. Zeppelin's carriage gradually faded into the distance. She stopped in her tracks and gazed in the direction the carriage had left. She panted heavily. I was once certain we would go back together. In this remote countryside, my appearance is more like a curse. Men stare at me with filthy eyes, longing to possess me. So I must leave this place as soon as possible. Octavio approached her and looked Alicia up and down. You do look quite decent. Alicia turned around defensively. Who are you? Octavio smiled disdainfully. Do you really think Count Devonhill would marry someone like you? A flash of indignation crossed Alicia's eyes. If only I had a little more time. I was so close. Octavio took a step forward. I will help you. As long as you listen to me, you can become a countess. How about it? Alicia walked into a dim room. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. She took a frightened step back. Her gaze fell on the bed. Rebecca lay quietly, her skin full of scars. Alicia stared at Rebecca. I have never hated you. I will never forget the day I first met you. Rebecca leaned down. Are you all right? She smiled gently. Alicia, the dessert today was delicious. I brought some for you. I used to think that as a maid, staying by your side wasn't bad either. Octavio whispered to Alicia. You could become like that too. Affection turned into admiration and ultimately into extreme jealousy. I can also become Rebecca. Alicia held the vial, her eyes resolute. Now, please die, Lady Rebecca. Rebecca suddenly spoke up. Can you bear the consequences? Alicia's movements froze. Her purple eyes trembled with terror. Rebecca slowly sat up. The vial slipped from Alicia's hand. Rebecca got out of bed. Oh my, you should be careful. Alicia trembled all over. Weren't you asleep? Rebecca looked up. I really can't believe you wanted to kill me at a time like this. A twisted smile curled on Alicia's lips. Why aren't you angry? I betrayed you. Her eyes were filled with madness. I repaid your kindness with betrayal. Do I not even have a right to make you angry? Rebecca looked at her coldly. I really didn't expect you to be so well aware of your own crimes. She stood up. Hurry up and tell me why you wanted to kill me. What exactly drove you to this point? Alicia turned her face away. Because I realized that the Count never intended to make me the mistress of the house. I heard it. Rebecca's eyes narrowed. Alicia continued. He said, even if you caught this divine disease, you could still give birth to an heir. Grace is already making preparations. Her smile was twisted and distorted. Are you satisfied? Even if you've turned into a monster, the Count still won't give you up. Are you happy? Rebecca suddenly let out a sneer. She bent over and laughed wildly. Her laughter echoed in the room. Zeppelin really went all out this time. Treating me as a plaything wasn't enough. Now he wants to turn me into a breeding machine. She regained her composure. Alicia, why do you want to fall into such a hell? Alicia became agitated. What do you know about hell? Do you know the fear of being accosted by strange men? What is someone like you, who only stays in a safe mansion, no? Rebecca looked sorrowful. Even so, you shouldn't have treated me like that. Alicia trembled all over, her pupils shrinking. Rebecca gently stroked her cheek. I used to like you very much, Alicia. so I will never forgive you. She turned her back to Alicia. I suppose we can travel together temporarily. I will give you what you want. Her eyes were sharp, holding a bottle in her hand. Will you also give me what I want? The doctor sat by Alicia's bed. Why do you have something dangerous to pregnant women? This tea contains ingredients that cause infertility. The effect is very strong. It only takes 10 doses to show results. You haven't drunk it, have you? Alicia spoke up. I haven't drunk it yet. But Lady Rebecca said, this is good for the body. She gave it to me a few days ago. The doctor pushed up his glasses, looking shocked. Then did Lady Rebecca drink this? Alicia covered her mouth with both hands, her eyes filled with terror. Yes, starting a month ago. I often saw her drinking it. Zeppelin walked into the room. His face was gloomy. What happened to Rebecca? Say that again. What did Rebecca drink? Alicia hesitated before speaking. She has been drinking a tea that causes infertility. Zeppelin's pupils shrank. Infertility? Why would she drink that kind of thing? Alicia recalled. I remember it was your mother who gave it to her. Zeppelin roared. Octavio, bring that woman to me immediately. Octavio looked at Alicia. I thought you did nothing last night. What exactly are you scheming? Alicia smiled faintly. I'm not your puppet, Octavio. There's a better way. So there is no need for bloodshed, right? Fabiola sat up from the bed, holding her forehead. My head hurts. An empty wine bottle rolled on the ground. She staggered up and stared at herself in the mirror. I was once beautiful too. Now, no matter where I go, all I hear is Rebecca. No one talks about anything else except that girl. Octavio's eyes were sharp. Madam has become sharp lately. A cold smile curled his lips. But why are you so reckless? He hugged Fabiola. Zeppelin is a mess right now. I worry he will become more and more lawless. Fabiola spoke firmly. I've said it countless times. That child is not yours. Stop pretending to be his father. Octavio's eyes were cold. Only heaven knows. Even you yourself are not sure, are you? Fabiola pushed him away fiercely. Shut up. What if someone hears you? No matter what others say, my son has the blood of Devon Hill running through his veins. Octavio gently stroked her cheek. All right. More importantly, before acting, you had no plan at all, right? Then listen to me. I will handle everything. Everything will be fine, Fabiola. Moonlight spilled across the courtyard. Rebecca gently stroked the scar on her face. It's really going to be over soon. Leo crouched on the wall and let out a meow. Rebecca looked towards the sound. Now, Leo had a green leaf on his head and carried a tiny wooden box on his back. He grinned. Rebecca looked confused. She unfolded a piece of paper. On it was written, hold on. A trace of tenderness flashed in Rebecca's eyes. I wonder how many pieces of paper your companion wasted just to write this. Leo's tail swished gently. Rebecca looked at him in disbelief. No way. 10 times? Julian stood in front of the desk, irritably crumpling balls of paper. The desk was piled high with failed notes. Rebecca stroked Leo. I guess you no longer mind the smell on my body. Her expression darkened. If Julian saw my face now, what would his expression be? He is a good person and wouldn't directly say he hates it, but he would definitely despise this ugly face, just like how Zeppelin looks at me. His eyes are full of disgust and fear. She reached out and touched the black cat, Leo. Zeppelin's voice came from behind. Rebecca. The black cat arched its back and bared its fangs, letting out a threatening hiss. Zeppelin looked at the cat with disgust. I can't believe a cat dared to break in. I will call the guards. Rebecca smiled and reached out her hand. He must be lost. Let's go, little guy. Leo immediately became docile and lightly jumped off the bench. Zeppelin spoke with concern. Rebecca, you are unwell. Why are you still out here so late at night? Rebecca answered calmly. I am fine. I can still walk around. Zeppelin suddenly sneezed. He covered his mouth and nose with a handkerchief. It's been like this lately, even though the flowers have withered. Rebecca looked around. Yes, but do you not have anything you want to say to me? Zeppelin's body instantly stiffened. He turned his head. You noticed. Rebecca's tone was flat. How could I not know? Your mother's screams almost echoed throughout the entire mansion. Fabiola cried out in despair. I used to worry that once the child was born, you would really leave me. Rebecca's voice trembled. Now I truly have nothing left. Zeppelin grabbed her shoulders. Rebecca, don't say things like that. His movement froze. He looked at his hands, which had touched the blisters on Rebecca's body. Rebecca gave a bitter smile. See, you recoil from even a touch. Just admit it. The woman you once loved no longer exists. It's okay if you abandon me. Because I love you, I can accept anything. Zeppelin's eyes wavered. Rebecca. The next day, Zeppelin slowly opened his eyes. He sat up from the bed. Octavio stood to the side. You're awake. Zeppelin touched his head. I had a terrible dream. Rebecca can't have children anymore. Unfortunately, It's not a dream, is it? What should I do? Octavio placed his hand on his chest. It's very simple. Things without value should, of course, be discarded. There will always be new things. Zeppelin struggled, but I love Rebecca. How can love be replaced? Octavio asked, what exactly do you like about Lady Rebecca? Zeppelin recalled, her golden hair shining like sunlight, her cute little nose and lips, her eyes like a boundless ocean, drawing one in irresistibly. Octavio spoke up, but haven't all those things disappeared now? Inside Lady Alicia's womb is your child. This child might take after you. Zeppelin's pupils shrank. A child who looks like me. Octavio knelt on one knee. Steady your heart. Discard what is no longer needed. Haven't I always taught you this? Zeppelin paused for a moment. Yes, discard what is no longer needed.